to prepare you for then eventually landing at Baylor?
Yeah, I talk to people about this all the time. And I think a lot of people look at JUCO and, depending on what JUCO college they look at, they
Welcome to Sikkim 365 Radio.
To the end zone. Diving catch. Touchdown. Clay Fuller.
Sikkim 365 Radio is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
17, shot clock winding down, go to work on Ramey. Teague inside left, and it goes. Gorgeous move, Maceo Teague. Strong to the rim.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
Out of the ballgame. That's always fun here at Wrigley Field. Meanwhile, a base hit puts the American League on top. It goes deep, and the second run might also score. Bear's not a good runner, but he is going to be able to dent the plate, and it's 2-0 in favor of the American League as Franco came through on an 0-2 count.
Have you downloaded the Sikkim 365 Radio app? Do it today on the App Store and Google Play. Here's David Smoke, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoke.
All right, here we go on this Friday, wrapping up week number 14, which would be a little easier when you just multiply by 5. Episode, 60?
70.
It is, it's
70.
Yeah, 70. Mm-hmm. I remember when we got to about 17, we just started, hell. 14 weeks into this, and Sikkim 365 Radio continues through this day and into the future, barreling through the sky with no radar and just fearless as we go day by day. Craig Smoke, Paul Catalina, David Smoke, Deontay. Paul, is he social distancing with us?
Yes, he's working remotely again today.
I don't know what we've done.
We got to start showering more thoroughly.
He has no idea right now. I've got all these shish kebabs with shrimp, steak, chicken, sitting here on this big pan. I thought that Deontay would be here. It's got pineapple, bell peppers, right?
That sounds fantastic.
Different colors. He's not here. Jacob Hester, who covered LSU and played at LSU, played in the NFL. He'll join us today early off at 3:10. Tell us about Dave Aranda. He, of course, has done a lot of work with LSU as well. Grayson at 3:45, Grayson Grunhafer from Sikkim 365. A double dip of Alvin Brooks III and John Jacobs of Baylor on the coachesforchange.org. Baylor assistant coaches. Clay Fuller, former wide receiver at Baylor. Dip into the high school ranks with McGregor's Mike Shields, year 2 for him. And John Keim of ESPN.com, the latest movement with the Redskins, their mascot, but also with a recent conversation. We had RG3 on April the 6th. He had him recently, and his thoughts about that. So, nothing today earth-shattering.
No, I think we're kind of still in a holding pattern from the news from the Big Ten yesterday. And
did you guys both notice, though, that the other conferences were blindsided by this, weren't they?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, most of them said, well, we're not ready to make that move.
Yeah, other conferences were blindsided. I mean, Bowlesby said he had talked to the Big Ten commissioner, and they had made no sort of indication that was a decision that they were going to make later that day or like the day after he had talked to him. I think it was within 24 hours. So, yeah, they were blindsided. And as a lot of college football media pointed out, there is just absolutely no communication in college football amongst the leaders. There's no reason why the Big Ten should have made that decision and the others shouldn't have been aware of it. At least the Big 12, the Pac-12, the SEC, and the ACC. But instead, they move forward, and then all of a sudden, here's the Pac-12. Just coincidentally, now having a similar announcement. And coincidentally, here's the ACC now suddenly scrambling and saying, we might have something soon as well. And I admire the fact that the Big 12 and the SEC have said, no, we're not making any decision right now. We're going to let this play out. And, it's just a couple more weeks to play out, or about 3 more weeks maybe. But what's the harm in waiting 3 more weeks?
Well,
what's the difference?
You're going to cancel those games anyway. And I assume most of them have contingency plans by now. If not, then what are they doing for
I'm not
all
so
these
sure
different
of
things?
that.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm optimistic that that's what they've been doing and why they've had all these meetings. And I have many questions about this. So it is okay for the Michigan Wolverines, and I don't even know if this is on the schedule, but this is the example I'll give because it's a pretty good long flight, to get on a plane and fly to Maryland, but for the Iowa Hawkeyes to get on a bus and go to Ames, that's different.
It's okay for West Virginia to come to Waco, but Baylor can't go play Ole Miss down in Houston.
You know what needs to happen?
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, all that, like they have these conventions, although they don't do these as much. The presidential conventions used to be a show. Now it's just, it's like a cosmetic stuff. They need to get every school, 100 and whatever it is, Division I schools, in a room. Have some sort of actual, let's sit down and let's discuss this. Maybe we don't even have conferences. Maybe we just have a top 25, no conferences. And if Baylor wants to eliminate West Virginia, I know that this won't happen because of the money, the TV, and all that. But Baylor doesn't play West Virginia, but they'll play A&M. Texas won't play. LSU's not that far. You could even, if you wanted, they wouldn't, but you could bust there if you had to. So Oklahoma cancels Tennessee. They'll play, Tulsa, which they've done before.
Yeah.
And I know that's a trade-off. I'm not looking at who's better or not. Just for this year. Hey, it's like the UAL, like all the coaches after realignment, the day of realignment, they have some of the games they kind of know about, but then they start scrambling when they're put the district they thought was a 7 or 8 or 9 team district or a 4 team district or 5A district that's completely different of what Midway faced this year going north and along with Waco High. Just a thought.
Well, especially when you could wind up, 2 of the non-district games you scheduled could all of a sudden be in your district and you've got to scramble there. But what I do think, though, is that the NCAA, all these schools, they do need to be on the same page. They need to do this together. This doesn't need to be something that's, off and on. And if the Big Ten wants to do what they want to do, that's fine. But they should call and say, they should let the other conferences know, said, look, we are leaning heavily to conference-only schedule. That's what we are probably going to do. When will you guys make that decision, and let's come out with a united front?
Yeah. All right. So, yeah. By the way, New Mexico canceled their high school football and also their fall sports, high school sports season. Philip asked us, do you think the UIL, because of what New Mexico's doing, do you think the UIL moves forward? Yes, I think, Philip, that the UIL is going to wait until the absolute last second. That doesn't mean we may not see wiping out non-district or pushing back the start of the practices in August, or maybe even saying district games only. But here's the problem with that. And I brought this up with you guys yesterday, texting back and forth. Jacob Hester will join us momentarily. So some schools are in districts with 4 teams.
Yeah.
Some are in districts with 8 or 9, maybe even more. And so you're going to play 3 games. Craig knows this, that once the East Texas district of Robert E. Lee, John Tyler, Longview, and Lufkin were separated from Mesquite and or anywhere else, or Garland, and they played what was a double round robin. They all played each other twice. It was brutal. 6 games, though. That's what you would have to do if you just went to district games only. I can't imagine that one district could say, okay, we're going to play 3 games and we're done.
They could always just say because of COVID.
Yeah,
who's going to tell them no?
I know.
Yeah,
but so that's you got to play. If you're going to play, and it's going to be district games only. To me, if you have 4 or 5 teams in a district, you really have to. I think you have to look at a round robin schedule, double round robin schedule.
Yeah,
but you would have to be forced into that because no coach in their right mind, just for the reason of fairness, is going to voluntarily say, let's play everybody twice because we're in a smaller district just to be even with everybody. I mean, they might out of just morals and the kindness of their heart. But if they don't,
I think it's because they want to just play more games, even though I understand you're trying to eliminate games because of non-district games would be canceled.
I'm saying, why would you give yourself a tougher road if you don't have to? If you're in a smaller district and you only have to play 4 games, let's say, in a 5-team district versus a team that has to play 7, I don't think you're going to ask 2 of the teams in the district, hey, let's play twice so that we have 7 like this, because then it would because some have 7, some have 6, some have 5, some have 8, so there's no way to do it uniformly.
Well, I think coaches want to compete, though, don't they? Don't they also want to play? Don't they want to have at least some games that they can coach? I don't, we'll ask Mike Shields at McGregor. He'll join us today at 4:45. I understand what you're saying. If you only have to win 3 games to win the district title, why play 5 or 7?
Yeah,
or
also,
6?
I would say that this is not necessarily the year to say, well, that's not fair. They have to do this. Like, look, do you want to play games or do you not?
Exactly.
You're just going to have to – I mean, nobody's going to want to do it, but, like, if it's the best option, like, what's the best bad idea you got? Let's go with that.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't see why you would try to force more games on your schedule if you don't have to. I mean, other than the competition aspect of it, but if the thought is we're trying to limit travel and limit this or limit that, then adding more games to make up for lost games, it's just kind of the same thing. So I don't know. I don't know how it's going to work out. I think that the number of teams in all the different districts is problematic, obviously, and those New Mexico teams means that some of those West Texas schools have already lost games. So, I mean, some of them are just not playing 10. We already know that. We already know some schools in Lubbock aren't going to have 10 games because New Mexico's already said they're not playing. So something's got to give there.
Yeah, and even Leon, and we'll have Jacob Hester here momentarily. Leon goes, what about JV and freshman games at the high school level, depending on what you're going to do? And that's,
I think that's probably no chance, man.
It'll be interesting. It'll be absolutely interesting, the trickle-down effect. New Mexico's doing that. We'll see. I think Texas will put their heels in the dirt as much as they can until it's to the point where they have no other choice.
You don't have to cancel now.
No,
there's no reason to cancel now.
I agree. Jacob Hester, former LSU star, and, of course, NFL for many years and a part of 104.5 ESPN in Baton Rouge. And a good friend, I believe, is that right, of Matt Flynn? Is that correct, Jacob?
Yeah, I don't like to share that in public that I'm good friends with Matt Flynn, but I guess since we have to, you've already brought it up. Yeah, the secondary Tyler Rose himself, Matt Flynn.
Yeah, well, Craig went to high school with him. Craig Smoke went to high school with him and played a lot of things with him. And I was in the locker room after you guys won the national title with him, following the win. And remember that against Ohio State, wasn't it, in the Superdome?
Yeah, absolutely. And I give Matt, who's one of my best friends, a lot of grief, but how about that? In this day and age of college football, can you imagine a quarterback as highly rated as he was, sticking around for 5 years before he got his opportunity to be the starter, and then he goes and wins the national title? You don't hear that very often now.
Absolutely. Jacob, are you worried about whether or not there's going to be a college football season?
Obviously, it seems like the more news that comes out, the chances look like they do lose a little bit of steam, but I'm still confident. Maybe I'm pumping a little bit of sunshine here. I'm still confident we'll have something. Do I know what that looks like? No. Do I know what the end game is going to be? No. Right? The Big Ten made headlines yesterday, conference-only games. We're going to see what the rest of the Power Five does. I just think for the well-being of a lot of these communities that play college football, and I know obviously covering the SEC on Sirius XM, we talk about places like Starkville and Oxford and Athens and all these small little towns that they rely on football home games, and they rely on that source of income that you just sitting there and you just feel so awful about because of the hotels and the bars and the staff of all these places that this is going to affect. And so I think they're going to go down to the wire. I know at least in the SEC, they're not going to make a decision as soon as the Big Ten did. And so I'm holding out hope. I think we will have college football, but it's not going to look anything like we know it to be.
Do you think the Big Ten had to do what they did yesterday?
I would have liked to seen them wait a little bit longer, and I know there's a million factors that go into it. They want to get ahead of everything. I wish you could have, gone until late July, maybe the first week of August. And I know that we're up against the clock here, but you start talking about some of the games at this impact, and it's not only the Rent-A-Win wins, right? It's not the check games, and no disrespect to any of those teams that the Bowling Greens or some of the other teams that were going to play a Big Ten game. That you're losing Wisconsin, Notre Dame, you're losing Ohio State, Oregon, you're losing some big marquee matchups. And so I would have liked to seen them wait a little bit longer. Inevitably, that would have come to that, maybe. But again, I think the SEC, talking to some of the ADs and presidents and commissioners and all those type of things, I think they're going to wait till that late July date.
Jacob, when the Big Ten made that announcement, Bob Bowlesby said he had just been on the phone with a conference commissioner's conversation earlier in the conference call earlier in the day and had no idea what the Big Ten was going to do. I spoke with Mack Rhoades at Baylor by text, and again, I think everybody was blindsided by this. Why would they have done that?
That's been the question of the day, because all we've heard is that all the Power Five brass has kind of been on these Zoom calls almost daily, if not daily, right? And they wanted to be in lockstep. And I know that we don't have a commissioner of college football, right? We don't have that one voice. And so they wanted to stay in lockstep as long as they could. And they want to have the same decisions and do it kind of in the same place. So I think a lot of conferences felt like they were caught off guard. And I think a lot of people expected today to hear from maybe the ACC or the Pac-12, and they follow suit there with the Big Ten. Now, maybe a couple reasons you didn't hear that, and I mentioned why the SEC, I think they're going to go to a later date. But the ACC came out with information yesterday already, right? They said they're going to push everything back till September the 1st. The first game was on September the 2nd, so they didn't want to have back-to-back news releases, I guess, back-to-back days that kind of differed from each other. And also the ACC, guys, let's not forget, they're having to figure out what to do with Notre Dame if they go to a conference-only schedule, because Notre Dame's got 6 ACC games. And so I don't think they were ready to come out with any kind of press release or really a decision. I know the SEC's not. We hadn't heard from the Pac-12 or the Big 12 just yet, but I don't think they were ready to make that decision. So I think everybody was caught off guard. And I think now you've got some conferences that are going to kind of go back to the drawing table and have those communications with each other to find out exactly what they want to do.
Jacob Hester with us, former LSU star, also part of the NFL and now a part of 104.5 and ESPN in Baton Rouge.
Jacob, you obviously an LSU vet. I know that Dave Aranda and you didn't overlap, but you've followed them closely. What do you think about Dave Aranda at Baylor and what he can do?
Yeah, I've covered the team since Dave was the defensive coordinator at LSU, and I actually worked really closely with the team and traveled with the team and all those things. So I've got the opportunity to see Dave Aranda, do some great things for the LSU defense. And of course, we, learned of Dave Aranda when he was in Wisconsin. Everybody kind of knew the track record there, so it was a big deal for LSU to be able to grab him from Wisconsin. He did so many great things at LSU, one of the best defensive coordinators, if not the best, right in the country at the time. And so now he gets this opportunity at Baylor. And one of the things that I think Dave does so well is he adjusts in the moment. And when something's not going right, he doesn't say, hey, this is how I've always done it, I'm going to stick with it, it's going to figure itself out. No, he makes adjustments. And I've always, thought that was the strength of his game. And you look at the Ole Miss game, LSU last year, right, where John Rice Plumlee, the quarterback, has a lot of success running the football. LSU was banged up a little bit, and so they had to make adjustments off of that game tape, and they did them the next week. And they came out and they were ready for whatever the offense was going to give them. And Dave did that so many times during his LSU career, just adjusting to what the offense, whatever they had success with, he made sure they didn't have back-to-back weeks of success with that. And I think he's surrounding himself with a really good staff, right? He brings a lot of really good coaches from LSU as well. We call him Meatball. Dennis Johnson going to be the defensive line coach there. And so he's done a really good job of putting a staff together. This is his first opportunity to be a head coach. I can't wait to see how it plays out for Dave, one of the best defensive minds in football.
He's got a very calm personality, Jacob. He's a bit soft-spoken, very calculated. What's his personality like when the lights come on, he's on the sidelines, in practices, and with his players?
It's kind of the same, right? And you got to credit Dave for having that personality, right? He doesn't let the moment get to him and change who he is. So to be able to stay cool, calm, and collected in that moment, I think that is a very big strength for Dave Aranda. George Munoz comes over from LSU as well. I think that is a home run hire. He's a guy that has a lot of respect at LSU, and he kind of has that same mentality, right? Doesn't worry about the situation, sticks to the game plan, and sticks to making those adjustments. And so I think that is a strength of Dave Aranda and the staff that he's built, at least the ones that I know coming over from LSU. I think they all have that.
It appears as if not only Aranda, but you mentioned George Munoz, but Meatball Johnson, and these guys have come over here, and it looks as if, even though Matt Rhule started to do really well with recruiting and had the very nice year last year, that they're getting a different type of player, that they're getting maybe even a higher level defensive type of player. Do you think that's part of because they won a national championship and because of the SEC and what they're known for when it comes to defense?
I think all of the above. I think anytime that you can say, yeah, we were on the coaching staff of the national championship team, and a lot of people would consider maybe the best college football season we've ever seen, right? So that obviously plays. Meatball playing at LSU, playing at the highest level. He has that in his back pocket. And as we all know, the SEC recruiting footprint, well, it doesn't say you have to stay in this one area. You go all over the country. Wherever the best players are, you're fortunate enough to be able to go out there and recruit those young men. And so they know where the hotbeds are, right? They know that obviously the state of Texas and the football they play there. They know the state of Florida, and they know that there's some schools in Louisiana that has per capita some of the best talent in the country. So I think all of those things put together, make for a really, really good recruiting pitch. And so you're going to get some different recruits, and that's okay. That's a good thing. When you bring in a new staff, and if they recruited the same footprint, the same model that the previous staff did, well, they're not doing their job. And if you want to get an example, I think Mark Stoops at Kentucky, what he's done, that's what he did, right? Every other Kentucky coach that I've been there thought they had to go blow for blow with all the other SEC schools. And Mark Stoops realized, look, hey, we got to do it a little bit different here at Kentucky. We can't just recruit the same areas. So we're going to go into Ohio. We're going to go into Michigan. We're going to go into some of the under-recruited spots here in this footprint. We're going to have a really good football team. That's what Kentucky's done the last couple of years. And so you have to get creative in recruiting, and I think all the guys that you just mentioned, they can do that, and they have a leg up, and they have some clout built up as well.
Les Miles is at Kansas. You know him well. He's got a big mountain to climb there, Jacob. Do you think that he will eventually get them to at least the point where they can consistently get 6 wins?
I do. I think that obviously it's going to take some time, man. What a project that is, right? And where they were when he took over, even winning a Big 12 game against Texas Tech last year. That sounds so silly, but that was a big deal. And obviously I'm biased. Look, I have 4 sons. My 4th son's Memphis Miles after Coach Miles. And so he means a lot to me, and I know what kind of football coach that he is. And I think he is the guy for the job. And that's not a job that not a lot of people wanted that job, right? And so he wanted that job. He's got a passion for that job. And I think that is half the battle, just wanting to be at Kansas. And so we know they're going to recruit better. We know their, facilities are already pretty much in place. And so that's not something that they can't recruit to. They don't lag behind in that department. So now it's about the X's and O's. And I think Les has done a good job of putting a staff together there. Are they ever going to be world beaters? No, probably not. But if you can get to a bowl game at Kansas with the way everything's laid out right now, I would consider that a win. It's a long time ago, guys, since they were in the Orange Bowl against Virginia Tech.
Jacob, Matt Rule, when he was here the last 3 years, had very, very physical practices. I mean, early on to the point where people really questioned it, but then we saw the finished product and how it worked out in the end. But those guys grinded. These players are used to grinding. Seeing what you saw from Dave Aranda in practices and whatnot, what kind of a style do you expect him to kind of have as far as practicing, what they'll be like?
Well, I guess, we'll kind of have to see that because, when you have Coach O as a defensive-minded head coach, obviously it's going to be whatever he wants the tempo to be. It's going to kind of take his personality. And even when Dave was here with Les Miles, Les is the guy that loves physical practices. He likes long practices. Now, Coach O is more physical, quicker, sharper practices, those type of things. So that's always going to kind of take the identity of the head coach. And so it's going to take some time to kind of see how he's going to run practices. But I would assume in the places that he's been, you think of Wisconsin, what do you think of? You think of power football, right? Kind of same thing at LSU for the most part. So I would assume the physicality of the practices will probably stay a lot of the same. Anytime you get a defensive-minded head coach, I haven't really met one that likes to take practice too softly. So I would expect kind of more of the same. Maybe not as much, but there's still going to be some pads clicking.
You know what? I realized you went to Evangel High School. I got to see Evangel play a few times because Craig and I were in East Texas for the longest of time, and I think Evangel may have played John Tyler or Longview, one of those two. I guess when you were there, man, there was some incredible football back in the day.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we played John Tyler. We played Longview. It seemed like almost every single year. What talented football team that was. We also played Lufkin, Texas. We played Lufkin, Texas right after 9/11 when not a lot of people were playing. Reggie McNeil, who went on to Texas A&M, was the quarterback. And I just remember that game just because nobody was really playing after 9/11. One of the few schools that did play, at least from Louisiana, because we weren't playing. I mean, I remember that being a big deal. So, man, we had so many battles in East Texas. I respect and appreciate East Texas football, even back when Marshall was a little bit more of a powerhouse. We used to play Marshall in East Texas. And so, yeah, we've covered that ground very well.
You, if you don't mind, Jacob Hester again with us, so 104.5 FM ESPN in Baton Rouge. You have to be, whenever it's time for you to be critical of what LSU might be doing. You played there. Is that a balance that you found initially not to be difficult, or was it difficult?
No, look, I think as long as you're fair and it's genuine, I think you can have your own opinions. And when things aren't going right, I think you have to call them out. You don't want to pump sunshine all day, every day. I think that's the last thing that you can do, and because people won't respect you if you do that. They'll just think that you're a homer. And so, yeah, absolutely. You have to be critical if you feel like there's something to be critical on. And, you know, just like when I worked for the SEC channel on Sirius XM, there's 14 schools that have someone listening. And so when you break it down, you have to be fair. You have to say what you truly believe. You can't sugarcoat it for anyone. And so I think if you don't, people know, and it just doesn't come off the right way. And so if LSU is doing something that we don't agree on, we break it down. Now, there's ways to do it, and I've kind of found that balance, right? There's some guys in radio, even former players, that they just, beat it to death, right? And they go over the top just to call people out.
Yeah.
I never felt like that's the way to do it. I feel like you're saying, okay, here's the problem. Here's how I would fix it. And here's how you get it done. Like those type of things. When you have those segments, X's and O's is what I love to talk about. And so, hey, maybe that cover three is not working. Maybe you play more two-man or whatever it might be. There's ways to do it without coming off as a jerk.
Hey, Jacob, thanks for jumping on with us today. I know your schedule's busy. Have a great weekend and good luck.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate you guys.
That's Jacob Hester, 104.5 ESPN in Baton Rouge, former LSU running back, won a national title there. He's a Taurus. I should have brought that up.
By the way,
in May.
That's a great radio station. We've had Jordy Culotta on there.
Yeah.
I mean, they have great programming there.
And, and then, of course, went on to play with the Chargers and the Broncos. Had about a 4 or 5 year NFL career. Appreciate him. He was great reaching out to me last night. Appreciate him talking about not just Dave Aranda, but brought up George Munoz, Meatball, Coach Johnson, and appreciate him starting off the show with us. We'll have Grayson Grundhaven for today at 3:45. At 4 o'clock, both Alvin Brooks III and John Jacobs of Baylor men's basketball on the Coaches for Change organization. And then at 4:30, former Baylor wide receiver Clay Fuller, McGregor's Mike Shields, and also today at 5, John Keim. Two things. One, pretty much just what's the latest today on the Redskins. They're going to change their name. Yeah. That's going to happen. I've seen and heard that there is now more of a lean, and again, this is from people who cover them, of the Redskins being the Warriors. I don't know if it'd be better for them just to eliminate completely any kind of sign with any kind of a Native American Indian tribe or even description. There's already the Warriors. There's the Golden State. You know what I don't like? And I know like Baylor's the Bears. So are Chicago, and so are others, Cal Bears. I understand. I like unique. Well, the Red Tails, I understand what it also would represent. Not because of just that, but it's unique.
Yeah. Just don't make a very bland choice like the Texans.
Yeah,
I was so disappointed when they announced that name.
That's what don't do what the XFL did, whereas they just took a couple of names in the hat.
They went to like the Marvel comic book.
It was like the Renegades, Roughnecks,
that's
all that kind of stuff.
That's exactly what they did.
They did.
They went to like a superhero movie, like, oh hey, the Renegades are playing. Yeah, okay, fine.
Like there was one. I don't know who was the team out of Michigan, Birmingham Stallions. Now, and again, there's not really a lot. I think North Mesquite might be the Stallions, if I'm correct. But
But
really,
there's only one Wampus Cat. So when you have an
and if anyone ever tries to take Wampus Cats from Itasca,
there
should be bloodshed.
And you don't have, the Bears can't go back, all the Tigers can't go back. You can't really do it. But when you have an opportunity to be unique, which is where Auburn I think has failed, but when you have an opportunity to be unique and you don't take it, that's a failure.
Leon said, "Why don't you call them the Washington Natives?"
Yeah. I think
it's a little too close to home. I think it's kind of
changing
for not much change.
I think the Red Tails, because it's is anyone else I'm sure there's a high school maybe somewhere in the country named the Red Tails. I don't know.
I would think maybe Tuskegee High School in Alabama, but
and maybe they are.
Yeah.
Or maybe I don't know what Tuskegee College, I don't know, they could be they could be the Bears. I don't know.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't think you need to move it from what they are, which is offensive to some people, to the Red Tails just because of what the Red Tails represent in this day and age. But that's pretty damn good. I'm okay with that. I'd rather no names change, but I guess, I understand where we are in this world today.
Yeah,
So
maybe they could go with the old Redskins logo. If they were to stay the red tail, or if they were to change the Red Tails, they could bring back the R with the feathers coming off of it before they actually had I forget the actual name of the chief or the Indian that they use for the logo, but prior to that, they had like the cursive R within that circle rather than an Indian, and it still had the feathers coming off. But I don't know if that logo already exists and it's the same colors.
If you're right, it had the R, and that's back when I think even George Allen might have been there. Here's another thing: if you go with the Warriors, the only thing good about that is you can go back to the spear.
Yeah,
which the spear, like Florida State, which Florida State stole that from Washington.
Yeah,
because that's what they do at Florida State.
I wonder, how close to home they will still go with it. Like, I don't know if a spear suddenly now off limits as well. You know what I'm saying? Or even if the feathers off the R would be still too close to home. I don't know. But, they could still keep the same color scheme. I wonder if they're going to go massive overhaul or what.
Tuskegee High School, Booker T. Washington High School, and Tuskegee, they're the Golden Eagles, and the Tuskegee University is the Golden Tigers. So, you wouldn't have anything. And I'm glad I finally clicked on athletics. I was on their website, and they have a statue, which I believe is of several different students. So the best I could tell is they're the Tuskegee people, but I don't know, like they were just there. But
why didn't they call them the Tuskegee Airmen?
Well, I guess maybe that goes back a little further. So
but you know what I love about that? Why do I love Airmen? Not because it's unique. There's no S. I love mascots with a singular. Just without being plural.
Yeah.
The Jazz,
the Stanford Cardinal,
Magic,
the Magic. I always have just been intrigued by that. The Midshipmen.
Yeah.
Anyone without an S. I love them.
I do. I like the Red Tails. I also think I think it's a cool thing when you have that opportunity, because then people ask why you're named that, and you have a good story to tell them other than like, well, this is what it always was. And
I mean, some people are, probably freaking out over this decision or whatever, but I look at it from the point of view of you have a really good opportunity to create something pretty cool and unique and brand new and do it, respectfully and not have to worry about any controversy anymore. I mean, the best part about the Redskins having to change their name is just that if I'm a Redskins fan, I don't have to hear about the dadgum name anymore for, like you did for the last 40 years when people have been complaining about it.
Like a bad headache.
And so, maybe keep the same colors, go to that R with the feathers coming off of it logo that you already had, turn it to the Red Tails, boom, you're done. That's pretty simple. Or you could go way outside the box and change everything. But, yeah, I just don't want to see it become something like – I like the regional type of names or the historical names, but I just find politics to be boring as all get out anyway. So anything like the Senators is a cool name, but it's already been done. So like the Washington, whatever, like diplomats would be to me. I want something cooler than some political.
Especially given that the guy who owns them is the least diplomatic
owner.
Well,
yeah, I just don't want like a real Washington, D.C. name like that, but that's just my opinion.
Anyone named the monuments?
No.
Someone put that out there very early.
Here's what they want to
do. We can debate that.
I've got one without an S for you,
If you
Smokey.
have one that Washington, and be nice, 254-339-1122. We will have John Keim on with the ESPN in Washington. He'll join us today at 5.
The Washington Gridlock.
There you go. No S has a meaning.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
will never not be true.
Isn't the Washington monuments the things that were
being
taken down as well? So I don't know how well that would go.
Which of the monuments have been ripped down that shouldn't have been?
The one in Grant Park in San Francisco?
Yeah. There's been a couple that I've seen.
Frederick Douglass?
Yeah, that was definitely an out-of-bounds one. That was just stupid.
Leon is the Native American Indians rode spotted horses or an Appaloosa.
That's what
How
Renegade is.
Oh, is that right?
Florida State.
How about
horse, yeah.
Washington Appaloosa?
I'm not comfortable with that. I don't want to share.
I don't think the majority of people would know how to spell it.
No.
For one, considering people can't even spell lose correctly. That's there's not two O's in lose, people. There's not two O's in lose.
Or your, in whatever way you want to use it.
Goodness
okay,
gracious.
We'll come back with a couple of other notes. Your thoughts about it, if you want to throw out. And I know if you're a Cowboys fan, you can call them the Washington Losers or the Washington Mistake. There's one with that. But we'll do that. And in a real simple, are you surprised that 24 hours after the Big Ten made their announcement that no other Power 5 conferences have followed suit? Your thoughts about that? What does that mean, if anything? And if you rank them from 1 through 5, the Big Ten's check. Who next? Will it be the Pac-12 or the ACC? I think the SEC and the Big 12 will be the last two, if in fact they ever do. That's just me. I could be wrong. 254-339-1122. That's the Riverbend Liquor and Text hotline. And also, by the way, you can call us at that number as well. This is Sikkim 365 Radio.
It's employee pricing for everyone at Richard Carr. Get this. You pay what employees pay all month. Qualified buyers right now could save over $7,000 on 2020 Acadias or Yukons, or you can save over $6,000 on a Terrain. They've also got the Buick line, the Encores, the perfect crossover SUV, that roomy interior, those safety features, that latest technology I've been telling you about for the longest. Well, right now you get a Buick Encore for only $19,900. That's a savings of $6,000 on a 2020 Buick Encore. If you're looking for luxury, style, and power, all combined into an SUV, well, check out the line of Cadillacs, the XT4, the XT5, or the roomy 7-passenger Cadillac XT6. You can experience the thrill of owning the Cadillac XT4 right now for only $35,900 at Richard Carr Cadillac. They've got great prices, free oil changes with a new purchase, and in-town priority warranty service. All of that comes with your purchase at Richard Carr Buick GMC Cadillac. They are the people you can count on. A local family dealer run by Baylor Bear alumni. They want the chance to earn your business. So stop by their daily disinfected showroom and see their safety-focused staff. Or as always, they can bring the test drive to you and to your home. Your comfort and safety is their first priority. Find them at Richard Carr. That's K-A-R-R, richardcarr.com, or Highway 6 at the Imperial Exit.
Time to fire up the grill, heat up the oven, or get that deep fryer going to enjoy the top quality products at Waco Custom Marketplace. And order 30-pound bags of live crawfish by noon on Thursday and pick up on Friday to enjoy the weekend. Live crawfish available right now. And Waco Custom Marketplace doors are open for business Monday through Friday from 9 to 6, Saturday 10 to 5. And crawfish boil boxes available as well. Make your order for live crawfish by noon on Thursday. Pick up on Friday for the weekend. Waco Custom Marketplace, your home for fresh kolaches, cinnamon rolls, and baked bread daily. Butcher shop to cut your steaks the way you want. Fresh seafood, summer sausage, boudin, and house-cured and smoked bacon. Spices, seasonings, soup mixes, charcoal, and lighter fluid. Waco Custom Marketplace, doors open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, Saturday 10 to 5, 425 Lake Air Drive, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction with a team of 24 experienced agents who are excited about serving you. Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Cam Heathcott, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Cam Heathcott, covering Conroe and Houston, 936-756-7717, or cam.heathcott@edwardjones.com. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Hey, This is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and two-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a Petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
Texas board-certified personal injury trial lawyer and Baylor alum David Willis and Baylor alum Parker Willis are ready to help if you or a loved one has been wrongfully injured in an auto accident, SUV rollover, industrial accident, 18-wheeler crash, or were seriously injured by a defective product or recalled drug. Call them for a confidential and free case consultation at 1-800-GOT-HURT or visit them at texastriallawyer.com, principal office in Houston, Texas.
This is Sikkim 365 Radio. The Sikkim 365 Radio Live Guest VIP Hotline is sponsored by Stonewood Dental. We are all in this together.
The 254, very nice. Appreciate you. Another legendary show. I like the Washington Generals. Have a great weekend. And I mentioned this. I think at least I saw a note. I didn't follow through with it. The Globetrotters had this maybe trademark with the Generals because that's who they used to always play and beat. And the Generals would actually, as you both said, lose on purpose. The Redskins try, God bless them, but the Generals would fit because they lose all the time. The Washington Senators were the name of the baseball team prior to when they moved to the Rangers, Arlington, to become the Rangers. But that's been used and
the Nationals use that logo, that curly
W, which Brad Sham one time came to training camp in California with that on, and I tried to wrestle it off his head.
I actually bought you that hat.
Take it off, huh?
I bought you that hat way back in the day. I don't think you ever wore it.
No, I do. I have it.
Never seen it. That's okay. I just remembered that suddenly because you brought it up.
It's one of those that you don't even want to wear because it's so unique.
It was like 20 years ago, so it's not a big deal. But
I have when I go on a baseball trip, you can see there's one hanging right there, an old Cubs hat. I always buy wherever the stadium I go to is I buy the old hat. The only place I did not do that in was New York City for the Mets or Yankees.
Why not the Mets?
1986, buddy. I'm not over it. I never will be.
Gotcha.
I had a friend of mine text me the other day, and she said, hey, I was watching ESPN Classic, and look, there's a Red Sox game on. I said, what? She's like, the 86 World Series. I'm like, conversation over. That's it. We're done. There's nothing to talk about.
Yeah. Oh, my goodness. And so I don't know this Washington mascot. It'll be something probably that will end up giving me a thud. You know, like, boom, okay.
I don't know. I'm kind of relieved that it'll just stop being a talking point. I mean, I think that's just a nice distraction to not that it ever affected them on the field. They had plenty of their own distractions they created and didn't affect their play at all. But just to have that just not be a nuisance every year of having to address it, having to talk about it, having to make excuses for why you haven't changed it yet. I mean, gosh, I would think it'd feel great as much as like the historical aspect of just that's who people grew up rooting for. That's going to be hard for people to see that change. And some people might not be Redskins fans anymore. They might just say, you know what, this is not the team that I grew up rooting for, and it's nothing racial or anything like that. It's just like I was a Washington Redskins fan. I am not a Washington Sentinels fan, and completely different color scheme and all of that. So, yeah, I look at it as more of a positive than any type of a negative. So we'll see what they come up with.
Here's what I have a question about, and this is, again, in this day and age of cancel culture. And sometimes it's necessary, and sometimes it's just because it's like a wildfire. But some stores stopped selling Washington Redskins jerseys, caps, anything with the logo, anything to do with the franchise. How hypocritical is that? If you really think about it, how long have they been in existence?
Oh, no, they're totally jumping on the trend. Yeah.
But seriously, now you want to act like, okay, wow, we can't touch them. Why now? Because you have blowback. Because
this is not a new issue at all. I mean, I would say that would be different.
This has not been going on too long.
No, but the Redskins name has been going on a long time. It's the same thing with FedEx. I mean, FedEx has now decided to take a stand.
Yeah, like they want to act like they're some holier-than-thou company.
But when FedEx...
They just want our money, guys.
Yeah, when
That's all they care
exactly.
about.
So when FedEx made this decision to put their name on the field, this issue was still there. It wasn't obviously quite as loud, but it was still pretty loud.
Absolutely.
So the issue was still there. So at the time, FedEx was like, yeah. Now all of a sudden they're like, and it's fine. We can't be mad when people decide to grow a conscience because that's what we asked them to do, but they can't pretend like this is something that's always bothered them.
Don't all of a sudden drop it like it's a hot coal.
What I would do is I would do what Drew Brees did. Admit, hey, I don't have a grasp on this. I didn't see it from this perspective. I do now. That's the truth. That's what we need to hear, not, that's what we get. Like, oh, no, I've always been offended. No, you haven't. Because if you were, you wouldn't have put millions and millions and millions of dollars into tying yourself to them.
I'm all for those companies who wanted to show their support for the protesters, not the rioters or the looters or the killers or the, whoever, but like the actual protesters that were, intending and trying and doing their best to make a positive change and a positive difference. The people who really had, true hearts with this whole ordeal and weren't trying to take advantage of the situation. But to see like every cereal company, copy and paste basically the black background with the white text and put out their statement. I just like company after company did that. And it's just like with the conferences that we're talking about. It's like somebody did it, so now everybody else wants to go and do it. And it's not really all that. It stopped feeling like a little bit genuine after a while because it was just like, oh, this is the thing that we're supposed to do as opposed to the thing that we should just be doing out of how we truly feel.
What I think that Cheerios are racist if they didn't tell me they weren't.
Right, yeah,
I mean,
I just feel like it got a little bit ridiculous. Yeah. But I before we go here, Fred Smoot, let's see, was that Fred Smoot? I believe. I think it was Fred Smoot that was on like Washington radio. And he suggested the name. Okay, yeah, he was doing an interview with NBC Sports Washington. He suggested the name the Washington Red Wolves, which I know Arkansas State's the Red Wolves, but I don't know how many people even know that, quite frankly. All due respect. Shout out to Blake Anderson. But that way you could keep the R logo. You just tweak it a little bit. You could do whatever you want with the colors, quite frankly. You could keep HTTR, Hail to the Redskins. It could be Hail to the Red Wolves. Keep the red part of the name, I suppose. But Fred Smoot said that, and Jonathan Allen apparently has heard about that idea. I think it was Jonathan Allen that came out and said, like, absolutely, that should be a name that would be fire. So maybe the Red Wolves is the next name for the Redskins.
Red Wolves was the answer for another team with Washington's issue. What is a red wolf? That's just a different
animal.
I mean, is it any kind of specific? I mean, you, in this day and age, you have to, like, for example,
the American red wolf is native to the southeastern United States. It's between it's an interbreed between a coyote and a gray wolf, and is closely related to the.
It's an endangered species.
Yeah,
that's what Fred Smoot said. It allows us, like Craig said, it allows us to keep all the colors, all the things there. Okay, all right.
It's a pretty cool looking animal, I'll tell you.
No, it's a really good looking animal.
Yeah. That's a cool looking animal.
Washington Red Wolves. I actually kind of like that.
Yeah.
When we come back,
I kind of want one.
Grayson Grundhafer. Woodrow would eat it. No. Grayson Grundhafer, SicEm365.com. Pioneer Still in Pipe. Man, the family there, Braden, John Embry and company, the others that have been a part of that, and that company that's been family-owned and operated since 1943. Customer service, of course, is what you hear about all the time, and you can have that, and they do, because when you're in business for nearly 80 years, you got to be doing a lot of things right. In fact, some things great. Customer service, sure, that helped, but you still have to you can be the nicest people on earth, and you can have the best customer service. You can know everybody's name and what their children do and all that, and they do. But you still have to have great product. And on top of the amazing family atmosphere, they have metal building and components for roofing, structural pipe. They have high-quality materials. We'll make sure their metal building bids or your metal building bids are structurally sound. Competitors will build buildings lighter to make them cheaper, oftentimes compromising the integrity of the structure itself. So bid the right way, and they will help you with that. After the fastest turnaround time in the business on metal building orders, and when you're talking about large pipe inventory, they have that as well for you. They will deliver it, and they will unload it because it's heavy, bulky, and a bunch. Pioneer Steel and Pipe for 77 years. Waco and in Bryan. Open tomorrow from 8 until noon if you haven't been able to get by there and you need something. Pioneer Steel and Pipe, the Pioneer Boys, pioneerboys.com.
Summertime means vacation time, and while this summer may be different, at Allen Samuels, you can always count on our huge summer clearance event. It's on. Brand spanking new 2020 Ram Lone Star Crew Cabs. Now 0% financing for 72 and no payments for 90 days. Or choose up to $10,250 in total values. America's most loyal half-ton pickup owners are Ram owners. It's time to say goodbye. Adios, 2020s, from Allen Samuels. Ask for details.
Ideal MRI is a small family business right here in Central Texas. We're open to support you while lowering the cost of healthcare bills. When you need an MRI, ask your doctor for an Ideal MRI. Visit us at idealmri.com or call us at 833-IDEAL-MRI.
We're fighting hard at Pickup Outfitters in our battle to end truck nudity. But it's not just about putting an outfit on a naked truck, it's about making sure you have the very best customer service. So we offer the Pickup Outfitters Lifetime Installation Guarantee. Over time, sometimes your outfit needs a little tune-up, maybe some tightening, adjusting, whatever. If you outfitted your truck at Pickup Outfitters, that tune-up is absolutely no charge for the remainder of the time you own that truck. We also offer free warranty assistance. If for any reason you need to use your warranty, you just bring it back to us and we take care of it. It just makes sense. I mean, operating without a promise like that would be like offering customer service in the nude. And if you've seen our staff, trust me, you don't want that. So do your part to end truck nudity by outfitting your truck, Jeep, SUV, or van at Pickup Outfitters, 220 Lake Air Drive in Waco, where we promise to serve you fully clothed. Check out our website, createacommotion.com.
Do you love Friday Night Lights? Would you like to have a bigger role than just watching the action to ensure the games are played fairly and safely? The Waco football chapter of the Texas Association of Sports Officials, or TASO, can make that happen. The 2020 Texas high school football season is right around the corner, and we need you to be a part of it. There's a shortage of officials across the state in all sports, and you can help. If you love the game and want to be a part of the solution, you can help our local student athletes continue to participate in games they love. Never officiated before? Don't worry. Waco Football Chapter can help and prepare you to make the right call. And right now, Introduction to Football Officiating class is accepting registrations. Make your first grade call today by looking us up and contacting us on Facebook at Waco Football Chapter or at our website, wacofootballchapter.com. Find out more about the Waco Football Chapter of the Texas Association of Sports Officials, or TASO. Go to wacofootballchapter.com.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. It's time for our weekly segment with Grayson Grundhafer of Sikkim365.com. Brought to you by Pioneer Steel and Pipe, where customer service is their main focus, and best in metal, steel, and pipe for large or small projects, with 2 locations in Waco and Bryan. Family owned and operated since 1943.
So, Grayson Grundhafer coming off an amazing week. Life-changing, and yet still in the middle of all this, he continued to do his job while he was worried about where a ring was.
Yeah.
As Jackie Marshall, Louisiana linebacker, Craig, is that correct, commits to Baylor, and I think maybe even said to his at the time fiance, hey, you're going to have to wait a second.
Hold on, babe. I'll wait for the I do. I got to tweet out this commitment.
Yeah. Grayson, How did it go Saturday morning when all that starts to happen?
Yeah, so actually I didn't really have to worry too much about it because I knew so far in advance. I mean, I tried to tease it when I talked to y'all on Friday. So I kind of already had everything planned out. So honestly, I didn't even have to look at anything on Saturday, nor did I look at anything Saturday. I just knew it was coming. Everything was ready to go on my end. And so Baylor was able to pick up commit number 17, and it was a big one and on my wedding day. So I got to say, Jackie Marshall's got a special place in my heart, I guess.
So what was a better commitment?
Oh, that's easy. You know that. So,
we all know Baylor needs linebackers. Come on.
Yeah, I know. All right. Again, Grayson Grunhaver with us, Sikkim365.com, and he does the Trust the Podcast with Craig Smoke, and we'll get into that as well here on Sikkim 365 Radio.
All right, so break him down for us. Jackie Marshall, you've known for a while. What are his strengths? Why is this a big deal?
So, Paul, I know y'all have followed a lot of high school football, and when a guy has 38 tackles for loss in a single season, that means he is a spectacular football player, and that's exactly what Jackie Marshall had. 82 total tackles, the 38 for loss, and 11 sacks, just a complete disruptor on the defensive side for his high school, East St. John High School. He pretty much plays off the edge, kind of like the Jack linebacker position at Baylor, but Baylor actually wants him as an interior linebacker. The Mike linebacker spot is kind of what he's been recruited as. So obviously a great fit as a blitzer, a guy who's going to be able to come from many different levels and get after the quarterback and the ball carrier. And then you combine that with his impressive offer list. Arizona, Arkansas, Miami, Michigan State, Oklahoma State, Ole Miss. He's got plenty of really good ones. It's a great pickup for Baylor.
So he's the second linebacker in this class, at least on paper, Grayson, joining Tyrone Brown, who has been committed since last October, which is pretty remarkable. Where are they as far as linebackers, you think? Are they looking to add more to those guys, or are they kind of content with where they are with that position?
Yeah, so I think they have their eyes set on two guys who haven't made a decision yet, and they're two guys that are kind of the bigger names in the state. Kendrick Blackshear out of Duncanville, one of the highest, rated guys. When he was a freshman, he was already getting 4-star ratings, it seemed, and he's just continued to climb. Fantastic player. And then Terrence Cooks out of Shadow Creek, which is the same high school Baylor commit Kyron Drones plays at. Baylor is recruiting both of those guys very hard, and I kind of believe that they're going to wait things out a little bit and try to maybe land one of those guys at the end to shape up the linebackers class, but I do think they have a spot for one more.
I asked this question earlier this week about a Dave Aranda defense. It was Gary Anderson, who is now the head coach at Utah State, who had Aranda there and also in Wisconsin. The defense that he will run, the defense that Aranda is going to run along with Ron Roberts and others, Joey McGuire, et cetera, what is the key ingredient of the position groups? The line, which I think is what fed Baylor last year, and of course they had some great players. The linebacking core, there are 4 of them, and then of course there's also the secondary, which you could have 4 or 5 depending. Which of those groups you think is most important?
That's a great question, and one that I think, I think things could change a little bit moving to the Big 12. Dave Aranda has adjusted his defense multiple times throughout his career, whether it was at LSU or Wisconsin or Utah State. He's made changes and adjustments to the competition that he's facing. But, you go back and look at what LSU did last year, and they had guys at every level that flat out could play in the NFL. But I would say that I think what I saw last year from them was an elite secondary that got in your face, got in the wide receiver's face every single play, and it really made things difficult on the offenses that they played. It allowed them to force more turnovers, and it also allowed them to get pressure on the quarterback. So right now, honestly, I think I would say the secondary. Now, it's going to be pretty tough to compare what Baylor has on the roster compared to LSU in the secondary. But that's kind of my thought process on it, at least, coming from LSU to Baylor.
All right, Grayson, before we let you go, Jackie Marshall is obviously the big news since we last talked to you. What's kind of on the forefront? What's the stuff to be looking out for now for Baylor fans?
Yeah, so right now I think you're going to see new offers start to go out. I know Baylor put out an offer to Ryan Lingyell, who's out of Dallas Jesuit High School. He's a 2021 kid on the offensive line who I know Baylor's going to start recruiting extremely hard. So I think you're probably going to start to see some new targets emerge in the 2021 class, and you're also going to see more offers go out in the 2022 class. And kind of one of note that happened today was Anthony Black received his Baylor offer for basketball. He already has one for football. And as y'all know, he is the son of former Baylor basketball player Terry Black. So he now has an offer for basketball and football at Baylor. He's a 2022 wide receiver and then a 2022 guard in basketball. And he's seen his recruitment blow up over the last few weeks, especially in basketball.
Grayson, I asked this question to Smokey and Craig right before your segment, but Baylor's been doing so well in recruiting under Aranda. How well do you think they would be doing if they could actually do it how they were supposed to be able to do it?
Yeah, and I actually talked to Craig a little bit about this when we were on the podcast this week, just about the simple fact that they've kind of been one of the schools that has benefited, it seems like, from having, the lack of visits and things like that. But I would also say that you could also say it's a negative that they haven't been able to get some of the other guys on campus who could be, bigger names, and maybe they would be committed as well. So I do think there's some merit to both sides of it. But I'm kind of the belief, based on what we've seen, that, yeah, they've kind of been limited a little bit and could be even higher in the rankings and higher in the recruiting regard had they been able to get guys on campus and get guys on visits sooner.
Grayson, good stuff. You guys, the podcast is up. Trust the podcast every week. Sikkim365.com in the premium section.
Should be airing after our show today.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Grayson, did you get? Are you getting royalties for that? You and Craig getting extra?
I hope so. I hope we're getting a lot of views. I think, Craig, huh?
Yeah. I know we're having fun. We've been. We'll say this again. We are the most consistent Baylor podcast out there, and that's not to disparage anybody else, but I want to brag about the fact that when there's nothing going on in most people's minds, we're out there 52 weeks of the year practically. If not, I think it was 51 out of 52 last year, Grayson. So, yeah, we're having fun, and we have great listeners. So congratulations again, man, on the wedding last weekend to you and your lovely bride, and have a good weekend.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
That's Grayson Grunhafer with us Fridays at 3:45. Coming up next, Alvin Brooks III and John Jacobs, assistant basketball coaches at Baylor under Scott Drew, on Coaches for Change, an organization in this day and time that's so important. They'll join us next. Clay Fuller at 4:30, and this is Sikkim 365 Radio.
In great times or tough times, you always feel better working with someone who's there for you. When it comes to great banking, people here count on the First National Bank of Central Texas, here to help you, your family, and your business. Personal banking via phone, desktop, tablet, and drive-through, and business banking tailored for all situations, including yours. Amazing tomorrows from the First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
In the market for a quality metal building? Since 1943, Pioneer Steel & Pipe has helped Central Texas residential and commercial customers with metal building design, panel options, building components, and trim options. Pioneer Steel & Pipe's residential line is energy efficient, offers low maintenance, reduces insurance payments, is impact resistant, and carries up to a 45-year limited warranty. In addition, they can also help you find a metal building contractor for your project. Pioneer Steel & Pipe with locations in Waco and Bryan and at pioneersboys.com.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, hot still, baby blue, French oak, rye, and brimstone. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
You want to know why Stonewood Dental is so successful? Listen to what happy customers have to say.
It's pleasant. It's different than any other dentist office. I really feel like they care And it's not that you're here for 2 hours waiting on someone to take care of you. It's quick and easy, and I bring my kids, and my kids love being here too. They really love the treasure box. Staff is really nice and accommodating, real friendly. You feel more like home. It's not sterile looking. Everybody has their own personalized rooms with decorations and decor, and they'll even have a blanket for you when it's cold. I've recommended people to actually come here, and they are patients now. I really love it here. It feels like family.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com. Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jeweler, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store and more.
This is Sikkim 365 Radio. The 4 o'clock hour is sponsored by Boozers Jewelers, the wedding ring store, specializing in custom jewelry and repair, all in-house.
17, shot clock winding down, go to work on Raymond. Teague inside left, and it goes. Gorgeous move, Maceo Teague. Strong to the rim.
This segment on Baylor Athletics on Sikkim 365 Radio is brought to you by Richard Carr Buick GMC Cadillac, located at the Imperial Drive exit off Loop 340 in Waco. Proud supporters of all Baylor Athletics. Here's David Smoke, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoke.
Here we go at this 4 o'clock hour. Clay Fuller, former Baylor wide receiver, will join us at 4:30 today. We'll have John Keim, ESPN.com in Washington at 5. McGregor head football coach Mike Shields at 4:45 as UIL high schools are about to get back to working out on Monday with even more access in certain ways. Still have to look at the protocols of being very, very sensitive to what's going on with distancing, et cetera, and cleanliness and disinfectant. And then today as well, as we continue with the show now, John Jacobs and Alvin Brooks III.
I just lost John on the merge, so let me call him right back.
Okay, well, we have Alvin Brooks III here, and we'll have John Jacobs in just a second. You're gonna.
Yeah, you can't talk to Alvin until I talk to get John back on the call. So hold on.
All right. Colt Barber had an interesting note on Sikkim 365 earlier today, and maybe have actually just been his Twitter feed. He has a contingency plan, and everyone can have these. Craig, you could have yours, I could have mine, and Colt kind of thought through this. Contingency plan for the Big 12 in football. If no non-conference games are played, start the season on time, play 9 regular season or all conference games, and spread it out over 13 weeks, and that allows 4 universal off weeks, allowing easy navigation for rescheduling. Maybe have a couple of off weeks towards the end of the year, and then the possibility of using them if you have a week wiped out. We're now joined by Baylor assistant basketball coaches Alvin Brooks III and John Jacobs. It's Coaches for Change, an endless pursuit of equality and equity. And Alvin Brooks III and John Jacobs of Baylor join us on Sikkim 365 Radio. Guys, thank you very much. You're both on at the same time with us with kind of a conference call. When did all of this start, and was it due to what we've seen in America the last 3 or 4 months?
Alvin, why don't you start? Oh, whoops, sorry. My bad. There we go. All right, Alvin, go ahead. Sorry.
Is it not working?
Hello.
I just got connected. Hey guys, how you doing? Thanks for having us.
We're doing good. Hey, thanks, John Jacobs and Alvin Brooks III. Thanks, guys. When did Coaches for Change begin, and was it due basically to what we've seen the last 3 or 4 months in America?
Yes, it has. There was a town hall recently, and as coaches, and we met, and then afterwards, Coach Corn, the head coach from Siena, we started meeting like a month ago. And we've been meeting more than once a week leading up to the lunch.
John, how much does this mean to you?
It's a big deal for us. What Coach Carmen started with Coaches for Change, I think, is a significant platform, not just to help people register to vote and have their voice be heard, but I think it's a platform for us as coaches to stand up for when it comes to issues of race. Even though this started in the last month or so, for our staff, the stuff that happened in Minnesota really hit home. A guy on our staff, Jared Nunes, that's where he grew up. And his family was there, and it's something we talked about a bunch. And Coach Drew, I know you guys talked to Coach Tang early on this subject, and Coach Drew has been unbelievable and not just leading us and talking about and checking in on people, but not being ashamed to give our players a voice to touch on issues like Black Lives Matter, and to teach our guys that they don't have to be ashamed to not only vote, but to stand up and speak out. So for us as a staff and a whole, and for me and AB, when it comes to Coaches for Change, it's just something we care a bunch about.
Alvin, when all this started going on and you guys had to communicate with your team, what was the biggest message you wanted to get through to them about being aware, being active, but also being able to sit and listen and kind of come together?
I think the biggest thing is just listening. I think as a staff, we did a great job of communicating with each one of them and hearing what kind of emotions that they had personally, instead of calling and just talking. I think it was a time for us to listen and see what kind of experiences that they've experienced. And so I think for me, that was the biggest thing, just listen.
Alvin, was it surprising in any way, some of the stories that you heard? I mean, you guys know your players very well, and John, you can answer this as well, but was it, eye-opening to you guys in some ways as well, even as well as you know these guys?
For me personally, it really wasn't, because I've experienced some things myself.
Right.
And so it really wasn't eye-opening to me, but you just, nobody ever talks about it. So I think the eye-opening part is people keep it internal. So I think, to me, the more eye-opening part is we go through those things, but we never talk about it.
Has it allowed some young men on your team, or just people in general, to have a chance to feel like they don't have to be, and I don't want to use, I'm not going to use the analogy, but if there's some, well, I am. Sometimes there have been relationships that are abusive, and the one who's being abused is afraid to talk because of the retribution of talking from the person that's abusing him or her. Is there any of that has been one of the things that's kept people from saying, black, whatever, that, hey, this is not right, and now they feel like they're free to say more?
Yes.
I'll say, yeah, go ahead, AB.
Go ahead.
I'll say maybe where AB wasn't surprised. For me, there was some surprises, and these are guys that I spend more time with than my family, if I'm being honest, because of the way we travel and recruit and spend so much time in our locker room. And so when you feel that, not only do you want to listen, but I think Coach Drew has allowed us as a program to not be ashamed to go ahead and have voice on things. If you watched this last year, I think you saw our guys stand up for their faith more often than they ever had. After games, they would give God credit for things. And Coach allows us to have this voice. And so along with listening, like AB said, more than anything, I just want our guys to feel the freedom to speak and not have to keep it inside, and to not be ashamed to use their platform for good. And Coaches for Change is a step in the right direction, AB and I believe.
Hey, B, you heard him say that about that, and I guess I think that's how a lot of people feel like me is, you can hear things, you can hear stories, but sometimes if you don't hear it from someone who's closest to you, it just feels like something that's on TV. What's it like for you to share a story with someone who maybe doesn't know or to make that connection and like it really lands that some of these things that go on are real things and not something they see that happen in another city that didn't happen to them?
I think it's kind of like anything. If it doesn't happen to somebody that you have a personal connection with, sometimes I think it's hard to believe. And by not talking, you may have a personal connection with someone, but you will never know because they never expressed it. And so George Floyd kind of hit me because he's from Houston, and he actually went to the same high school that I went to. So a lot of friends that I grew up with are actually close to him or were close to him. And so I've experienced some things. I have friends that experienced some things. And, I remember when I first got to Baylor, at some point we was in Vegas recruiting. And I got pulled over, and I text my dad, I text my wife, and I text our staff that I got pulled over, and I was scared just because I didn't know what was going to happen. And I just wanted to let them know that I got pulled over, so if something happened, they at least know that I got pulled over. So hopefully some real change come across and that we're able to move forward, not, as equals, because we're all human and we're all God's children. So hopefully that accomplishes something.
I think when Deontay Epps, who's one of our producers that helps us with Sikkim 365 Radio, kind of gave us some feedback early on when the George Floyd story became the national story, worldwide story that it was. And that was the analogy, Alvin. And thank you for using that one, because that's the one that struck me the most. It's not the flag or kneeling or anything. It was that when he's been pulled over, because I've been pulled over, hell, I've got speeding tickets and whatever else, and I've never had the fear of anything other than, damn it, I'm going to get a ticket. And that analogy is the one that I think probably hit home the most, at least to me. There's a lot of different analogies or a lot of different examples and stories, but that's the one I was like, damn. And so you've lived that.
Yes, I've lived it. Yeah, and that's within 4 years, because I've been at Baylor for 4 years. So that was within the last 4 years of me being an assistant coach at Baylor. She asked me, it was a lady, and she asked me to reach. I was in a rental car, of course, because I was recruiting. She asked me to reach to grab my insurance, and I just told her no, I'm not doing it. I said, "You welcome to come into the car and grab it yourself, but I'm not reaching for anything." And so, we've been taught by our parents and taught by others kind of how to react. And so it's kind of something that I think we were so used to, and we're so used to where it's kind of second nature, unfortunately.
CoachesForChange.org is an organization founded by college basketball coaches who are dedicated to helping their student athletes, the campus, and the communities as well, not only engage, educate, empower, and evolve. CoachesForChange.org. Alvin Brooks III and John Jacobs of Baylor men's basketball, our guest right now on Sikkim 365 Radio.
John, so for fans who want to see or reach out and get involved or learn from what you guys are doing, how can they follow along with what you guys are bringing to this?
There's a Twitter handle. There's a Instagram handle. At the same time, there's 40 Division I men's coaches involved right now. They'll be adding women's coaches also and strength coaches, and they're going to try to expand the group to at least 100. And then if you go to CoachesForChange.org, you can see the platform that they're using. It may be one of the easiest platforms and most impressive platforms I've ever seen, to just simply follow a few key steps and register to vote. And I know we'll use it with our athletes, and I know everyone involved is going to try to get everyone on their teams registered to vote, not just registered, but a big piece is to educate them as they do it and allow them, just empower them to use their voice. But really anybody could go to this website and figure out how to register to vote. And there's a bunch of educational things that I think are really well done. The whole thing is a really positive, well done, organized thing. AB introduced it to me, and when I took a look at it, I was blown away. And it's something we're really proud to be a part of.
By the way, I think it's fair to say, and it's fair to bring this up, is that when people hear about make sure you register and you vote, that's for everybody. That's for everybody. That's not for those who are just concerned now about what's going on and racism. That's for everybody. And sometimes people can get turned off when they hear that. So that's for something that if you have an opportunity to vote, whether we're under the darkness of what's been going on lately or any time, if you can vote, right?
Correct. And I think Coaches for Change it educates you on who to vote for. And I think that's more important as far as we all are different and we are going to have different beliefs and we're all going to vote differently. But at least you have an opportunity to vote for someone that has the same beliefs as you. Mm-hmm. And so I think good for Coaches for Change because it educates you more than just, you're seeing something on social media. You actually dive deep into who is who as a person. Right. Kind of like families that choose Baylor and choose our staff. They don't choose us just because they see something on social media. They actually do a deep dive into who we are as people and who is our university. What is our university about?
I saw that there's going to be an open forum with President Livingstone along with Colin Allred, Michael McFarland, who I've known. He used to be an administration football player at John Tyler, who played at Baylor. Of course, Colin Allred played at Baylor. A couple of others. They're going to have an open forum, like a town meeting, Zoom meeting next week. Are you proud, the two of you, of what Baylor's trying to do during this time? John, we'll start with you, then Alvin.
Yeah, I actually can't say enough about not only the freedom you feel when you work here to speak out in something that's important to you, whether it's race or voting or your faith. But when you look at the peaceful protests, you look at the way Mac has handled himself, you look at the way Dawn, our direct AD above us, and the way she not only encourages and supports us and meets with us every Wednesday and constantly compliments us anytime we reach out or step out in faith and in these kinds of things. I feel so supported. I think our staff feels the same way. And I think Baylor has taken real concrete steps to try to move forward in these areas, and I hope that continues.
Alvin, your thoughts about, do you feel like Baylor's done enough?
Yes, I think we've definitely taken the first step into doing our part. I think that's all we can do is focus on doing our part, and our goal is try to, first of all, we have to make sure that the campus is great, and then after that, I think we can bring it out to the community. And so I think we've done a great job. I've been really, really impressed. We've had multiple meetings. We've been allowed to actually open up and share how we really feel, and nobody judging nobody. I think that's the biggest thing that I like the most is we're all a one big family, and it starts at the top and it's going all the way down to all of us.
Coaches for Change, and it's the letter. It's the number 4, correct? You guys, it's Coaches for Change with the number 4.
Yes, sir. .org.
Yeah, .org, and of course it's at Coaches for Change on Twitter. We put that and it connected it to both Alvin's Twitter and also Coach Jacobs' Twitter. You guys represent quite a bit. I know you got much more important things, not than this topic, but you have other things you have to do that has to do with Baylor basketball right now. If you don't mind, as we finish this up, how difficult has it been with the way things are with the shutdowns to recruit? How much of a challenge has that been, or have you guys been able to find that you've been able to get around it and be fine?
Well, I can say this. This is the third thing that Coach AB and I have done together today already. There's been 2 Zooms, one with our player and one with the recruit. Then we'll get off and do another Zoom with the recruit after this. I think that we find ways, but we're in college basketball because we get to impact 18 to 22-year-old men's lives. And we're certainly trying to be creative in the way that we recruit and do the best we can as a staff. But I think the thing we miss the most is just seeing our players every day. And the ones we need to love and recruit the most are them. And I'm just counting the days till we get them back. But at the same time, I think we've done a good job. And Coach Drew's led in a good way, and our staff has been pretty persistent in doing the best we can to recruit through Zoom and other options.
By the way, I'm on the website right now, and it's very cool. It's really easy to go and find, especially a list of candidates that you may not even know who they are or what they're about, and it's very easy. It's a great website. By the way, John, and our listeners probably don't know this, but my nephew Luke and your son Brady are very good friends, and I've met your son several times as he and Luke have been hanging out. So.
Your nephew Luke has been to my house to play video games, go swimming, my son's birthday party. Apart from the coronavirus, he probably would have been here 10 times this summer already. He's great kid.
Alvin, thank you for sharing your story, and I know that helps. Everything helps. All of them. Your story, John, Alvin, your story, the Baylor story. We appreciate both of you. Good luck with your upcoming Zoom meeting. Thanks for your time, and we'll talk to you. And hopefully see you guys at some point, person to person down the road when there's actually basketball practice.
I hope so.
Man,
we do.
Thank you so much. We had Alvin Brooks, by the way, on the show. Remember, it was about a month or so ago when he was a part of that up-and-coming assistant coaches. John Jacobs was at Gonzaga.
Yeah.
Mark Few's staff. I remember when he was hired, I was like, wow. And
that's a get right there.
Yeah, it's a hell of a get.
Yeah.
And both of them are part of a staff that Scott Drew's put together with so many others, and some that have moved on that have been fantastic. Driscoll, Paul Mills, among others, that have moved on to other jobs as well. All right, when we come back, 4:30, Clay Fuller. Remember the question we had, and I'm going to start this with him. Who would you want in a 4x100 to represent Baylor from the football team? I think we forgot about Clay Fuller and his speed.
Yeah.
I think he's going to remind us of that, too. This is Sikkim 365 Radio. If you or a loved one or friend has been arrested and you can't afford bail, trust Terry and Chase Chapman at Chapman's Bail Bonds, covering Waco and McLennan County for over 25 years. Chapman's can bail you out anywhere with experienced, knowledgeable local agents who are committed to serving you professionally, respectfully, and with the highest integrity. Chapman's understands your privacy is important. Your freedom can be secured fast when you use Chapman's Bail Bonds. Open 24 hours a day, payment arrangements available. Call Chapman's Bail Bonds. When you need help, 254-754-1603. When you ring, we'll spring.
It takes time to reach goals. It's a truth that applies to more than sports. It goes for your financial goals as well. You work hard for your money, and you deserve an investment strategy that lines up with your game plan. And Tom Albers, your Edward Jones financial advisor, can help. If your financial investments aren't putting forth the effort you desire, stop by today for a financial review. Tom Albers, 4301 Lakeshore Drive, 254-776-7605. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business right here in Central Texas, and our goal is to bring down the cost of healthcare while maintaining high quality. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important, and unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through the difficult time. We offer premium MRIs just like a hospital with state-of-the-art technology and specialists, but you'll pay less. Sometimes thousands of dollars less, whether you're using insurance or not. At Ideal MRI, we accept most insurance and there are no hidden costs, even offering financing if that's needed. Everything included in the price, and you'll not get something as a surprise in the mail later on. If you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. They'll know. You can schedule an appointment safely from home online in minutes at idealmri.com or give us a call, 833-IDEAL-MRI, idealmri.com.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction with a team of 24 experienced agents who are excited about serving you. Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
It's summer. Time to go somewhere in a new Jeep from Allen Samuels. It's our huge summer clearance event featuring 0% for 72 and no payments for 90 days on our hottest models. Pick a new 2020 Jeep Cherokee Latitude with $5,750 in total values or 0% for 72 and no payments for 90 days. Or the fun 2020 Jeep Renegade with up to $7,000 in total values or 0% for 72. Adios 2020s from Allen Samuels.
This is Sikkim 365 Radio.
To the end zone. Diving catch. Touchdown. Clay Fuller.
This segment on Baylor Athletics on Sikkim 365 Radio is brought to you by Richard Carr Buick GMC Cadillac, located at the Imperial Drive exit off Loop 340 in Waco. Proud supporters of all Baylor Athletics.
We had this, what was it, a couple of weeks ago up on Twitter when I put, give me your 4x100 or just 40. I said 40-yard or 40-meter dash is 40-yard dash. Give me who finishes first, second, and third. We had Tevin Reese, RG3, many others, Katie Cannon, Kendall Wright, etc., Corey Coleman. And we now have maybe one of the guys that would have been right there at the very leaning at the tape, and Clay Fuller, former Baylor wide receiver, who joins us on Sikkim 365 Radio. I hope that didn't get back to you because I think we overlooked you.
First of all, Smoke, Paul, thanks for having me. Yeah, I think I'm not a big social media follower, but I did have one supporter in my wife, Mackenzie Fuller. So. I think she gave me some props, so I appreciate that. We actually are celebrating our 5-year anniversary tomorrow. So,
whoa,
great to have a supporter in that, and yeah, definitely some elite speed over the years at Baylor, and proud to be a part of that. And in those days I could run. I don't know about today. Today I'm not sure I can lace them up and run a 4.34. I don't know if those days are still in me.
Clay Fuller with us on Sikkim 365 Radio. Craig Smoke, Paul Catalina, David Smoke with Clay Fuller. Paul?
All right, Clay, so those teams that you guys had were so explosive on offense. Was there ever a time you went on the field, save for like a terrible weather night, and said, we can't score on this play?
I don't think it mattered at that time, the confidence level in the players that we had and the coaches that we had. I think without question we had the capability to score no matter what condition we were playing in. And that was kind of the mindset that we had.
Clay, when you first arrived on campus, was it pretty well known that you were a 4.34 potential type of guy, or did you kind of shock some people with your speed?
I think growing up, I was always fast. I think speed got me drafted by the Angels in 2006.
Yeah.
But honestly, I think I even surprised myself once I got to Baylor, and Kaz Kazidi got a hold of every player that went through that organization, and he's a tremendous strength coach, and he gets the best out of you, that's for sure. And I think that was the case for me as well.
Is it something that there were so many weapons that sometime there were? It's never too many, but it was hard, right, to get the football and make sure you hey, don't forget about me.
Yeah, in terms of getting your touches, for me personally, I was excited. I was at that time, 24, 25, 26, and 27 years old playing with 17, 18-year-olds. So for me, it wasn't about getting me the ball. It was about how can I contribute to the success and legitimately be excited for everybody on that field. Different perspective coming back with a little bit of age to you.
So the highlight I played before you came on, I don't know if you heard it, but it was the 61-58 game. It was that game.
Never heard of it.
Yeah, that one right there. What turned in that game where you guys got out of that quagmire?
Oh man, 61-58. For me personally, I spent a lot of that game in the locker room. I caught a ball on the sidelines and got a helmet straight to the hip. So a lot of that time I was just trying to stay loose, get warm, and try and get back on the field. The rest is history. I mean, that game was a tone setter for the rest of the year. And just an absolute joy to be a part of.
Clay, I've always wondered this because you guys started to make the comeback, obviously, with in the fourth quarter. But what was the kind of mood? What was the talk from the coaches at halftime? Because it's not like you guys came out after halftime and then just started killing it. I mean, like I said, it took the fourth quarter starting basically. So what was said at halftime, and what was kind of the feel at that time?
It's more about controlling what you can control and not trying to do too much. And it took us longer than normal to realize that, probably because it's a big game, a lot of emotions. But fortunate for us, like we mentioned earlier, we were explosive and had the ability to score a lot of points in a short period of time, which is what we had to do. And we did it.
I still think the most remarkable part about that comeback, and I've said this probably far too often, but is the fact that the comeback was launched because of the running game, because Shock Linwood and the offensive line destroyed a very proud TCU defense. Isn't that sometimes, looking back on it, how you were gassing them with the running game?
You bet. And straight up the gut too, straight up the middle. And most people don't realize that if you really look at it, we run at you, and that only sets us up for our vertical passing game. So you could say pass leads the run, but a lot of our stuff was play action, the majority of it, with run pass options. At the same time, there are plays, there are times where you're running three different routes, or they could be handing off to Shock or whoever's in the backfield at that time.
Why was the offense so simple then if you have all these different options? It would seem to be one of those things that with all the things you could do, that would be confusing, but you guys didn't have a playbook. You just kind of learned what you had to do.
It was y'all went to our practices at that time. Mm-hmm. How many plays would we run in a given practice? I mean, it becomes repetition, and Briles he made it simple so that we could play fast. And I think a lot of it has to do with the practices and how many plays we were running at any given day, on any given day.
Clay, what other games, what other moments stand out to you as far as your career at Baylor goes outside of TCU, as we've been talking about?
Oh man, well today I've got my 2014 Cotton Bowl shirt on,
oh, cool.
and the only thing, still haven't watched that game till this day on TV. But on the right side, it's got back-to-back Big 12 champions on it, so that's obviously fun to wear around. But from that game, thing I remember is probably Laquan McGowan, 400 pounds, throwing the ball over the middle and tiptoeing into the end zone. It's just those kind of memories, and then you go think about Laquan McGowan. Actually, quick story, in practice, Laquan was a great guy, and he probably had some of the best hands on the team. And we would play catch before practice would start, and I would legitimately crow hop and throw a ball to him as hard as I possibly could, and he would stick out one hand and catch it.
Wow.
And he was an extreme athlete. But it's just those guys, the locker room, being a part of a unity that you just don't forget. And the team reigns above yourself. and that's what you remember.
Who would have ever thought that day that his touchdown catch and the extra point would be the last points that Baylor scored where there was 4 minutes left in the third quarter?
Way to bring that up.
Yeah. Like I said, I hadn't watched that game yet.
Yeah, I'm not trying to.
I thought that game ended after Laquan's touchdown. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I think a lot of people did. Clay, and all due respect, I mean, do you think that maybe the team thought because that was such a it wasn't like a normal tight end, it was him, and it was such a unbelievable moment that you feel like everyone just thought it was over then?
Probably so.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, but what a game. Yeah, hard to imagine that we let that one slip away, but no credit to, I mean, we still had a great season, and it's a joy to be around. You know, it was a fun time for Waco, fun time for the career, and everybody that was involved deserves nothing but credit.
I remember one time I was at the Big 12 women's basketball. While I was in Oklahoma City at the Big 12 women's basketball tournament. We've all been, Craig, Paul, we've been to all of them, the men's, the women's, Paul more often than the men. But and you were down. It was at the team hotel. Baylor women, of course, were on their way to probably winning yet another one. And you were down and having breakfast, and you're a part of what obviously married to Mackenzie and Coach Mulkey. You know, what's that been like to be a part of that family?
Oh, man. Kim is, first of all, shout out to my wife, 5th year anniversary tomorrow. I love you. Kim is a legacy that you can't really put into words. Just her presence, being around her, you learn something from her every single day. And my wife, Mackenzie, has so much of her mom inside of her, displaying it in different ways. And I can't say enough about them and their family, and how proud I am to be a part of it.
You're now at, is it Turner Behringer?
Turner Behringer.
Yeah,
That's right.
a real estate company. Tell everyone a little bit of what you're doing. You told me this earlier, but I'll let you explain it because it's about acquiring and finding realty or real estate for those in I guess, businesses in Waco.
Yeah, you bet. So Turner Behringer is a full-service real estate company, which that really means is every aspect of the real estate spectrum we handle. Anything from a residential transaction all the way up to a multi-million-dollar commercial sale or purchase. And then we also have a development and property management arm as well. So one-stop shop. Anybody that needs real estate can call Turner Behringer, and we can make it happen for you. Specifically, my joy, my passion is just helping local businesses buy, sell, lease commercial space in Waco, which is becoming more and more attractive to people all across Texas and the country, really. So it's an exciting time to be here, see transformation happen, and just to be a small part in someone's business decision is something that I take to heart.
I am blown away because I got here in June of 2010, and I remember all the things that were said about Waco at the time, and then the explosion of what helped because of the success of football. Women's basketball was already dominant, what the men's basketball program has done. And then, of course, a lot of the changes in how downtown Waco is starting to constantly it's constantly moving, constantly being updated, upgraded, and even up and down MLK and what's going on there. Right. Which is amazing. And then just you see, you know, there's no hotels, and now there's a 1,000 of them. And so it is amazing. It's kind of almost been completely rejuvenated. Magnolia, we understand the silos and what's going on there, but Balcones and many places has helped with the explosion of this city, hasn't it?
You bet. It's awesome to be a part of. I know when I originally was going to come to Baylor in 2005, 2006, there wasn't a single student that would even touch downtown. And then, you know, even when I was in school at Baylor from 2012, you could start to see that transition, and Shane Turner and Cody Turner were a big reason for that, bringing people to downtown, renovating buildings and all of that. So, but now it's a complete transformation. You got students crossing over I-35, and you've got a vibrant downtown that brings people here, and I don't see it going away anytime soon.
Clay, what were your thoughts on what Matt Rule and company did last year? He's obviously off to Carolina, and Dave Aranda's in place right now, but to see the leaps that team made over the course of 3 years, just as a former player yourself, what were your thoughts?
Nothing but respect. To come into a situation that he was presented with and to do what he did is beyond admirable, and he's in the NFL because of it.
Yeah, that's a great way to look at it. Yes, he is. All right, you were a minor league baseball player. We know the story. So you got to college as an older student. Was there an extra responsibility to that, to being older? Then there's guys that have played in minor league baseball or others that have transferred and become football players or other sports. Was there an extra responsibility of being older than most everybody else in the program?
Yes. It what helps is experience and life decisions, choices, and when you have experience, the game slows down. But the same thing goes with life and the choices, right? When you've been through things, life slows down, and that's kind of how it was for me in college. And being able to be a support staff to younger kids was something I took to heart and really enjoyed it, and still talk to those guys to this day.
You're in a family, and I know we got to go, Paul, with McGregor's Mike Shields coming up, but you're in a family with Kramer, and he's a minor leaguer, and they've shut it down for this summer. That's where you were. You were a part of that. Can you imagine all of a sudden having a summer when you're supposed to be trying to make a major league roster and there's no minor league games?
I can't imagine. I feel for Kramer. I feel for every minor leaguer. The amount of cuts that are going on without having the ability to prove yourself is just disheartening. And all you want is a chance and an opportunity. And for those that can't get it, that's hard to stomach right now.
Yep. Thanks for your time. We appreciate it, Clay. Good luck with business as you continue to thrive and also with everything else, and happy anniversary.
Thank y'all. I appreciate it. Y'all take care.
That's Clay Fuller. Clay Fuller, McKenzie. Of course, Randy Robertson was a great athlete at Louisiana Tech.
Yeah.
Kim, the Hall of Fame coach now, it always was, even if it was not official until recently, as far as the Naismith Hall of Fame. Kramer in baseball I asked him, I said, what are you going to do with your free time? I just randomly texted him, and he said, I'm going to try to play a lot of golf. And he's like, it's not easy. I bet, though, when he makes contact, it goes a long way.
Yeah, I'm sure it does, yeah. I mean, got to adjust that swing just a little bit, kind of two different swings. But, if you're going to not be able to do what you love, at least have a little bit of free time to, still go out there and hit something.
One thing that Kim Mulkey said to me back when the early part of the shutdown, and we had her on, but one of the other things she said to me one time in a text was, I just want to get my kids back on campus.
Yeah.
Yeah, they want to. She loves to practice and teach and win and championships and banners and all that. Loves that. But coaches, they miss all of that. They miss seeing their kids, not their players. They want to be around them. That's like another family. Coming up next, Mike Shields, head coach at McGregor High School. This is Sikkim 365 Radio. Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jewelry, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to
create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store and more.
So it's time for us to have a talk because obviously your buddies aren't telling you, and neither is your woman. You've been driving that truck around, exposing your stuff. It's not only embarrassing, it's disgusting. I'm talking about full frontal truck nudity, and it's time for you to do something about it with a grill guard or a front-end replacement bumper from Pickup Outfitters. There are lots of good reasons to get a grill guard, like when Bambi decides to cross the road at the same time you're occupying it. But the best reason is that no one wants to see your junk up in your grill. Pickup Outfitters on Lake Erie Drive carries all the major brands of grill guards, including Ranch Hand, Cattleman, and even the Renegade brand made right here in Waco. And every grill guard we sell comes with our lifetime installation guarantee and no-worry warranty program. Won't you help us end truck nudity? Pickup Outfitters, 220 Lake Erie Drive in Waco. Check out our grill guards on our website at createacommotion.com/guards. createacommotion.com/guards.
Texas Board Certified Personal Injury Trial Lawyer and Baylor alum David Willis and Baylor alum Parker Willis are ready to help if you or a loved one has been wrongfully injured in an auto accident, SUV rollover, industrial accident, 18-wheeler crash, or were seriously injured by a defective product or recall drug. Call them for a confidential and free case consultation at 1-800-GOT-HURT or visit them at texastriallawyer.com. Principal office located in Houston, Texas.
How often have you said it's time to get in shape? Every day, every week, every month, maybe for as long as you can remember? How about starting today? I promise if you'll just join Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness now, you'll thank me later. Hi, this is David Smoke, offering a variety of 40 group exercise classes every single week, including boot camp on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 5:15, plus spin, body shaping, Pilates, yoga, and bar. And oh, there's a free kids club as well. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness open Monday through Thursday, 5 to 10, Friday, 5 to 8, Saturday and Sunday, 7 to 7. And personal trainers, Christy London and Randall Corley. World-class tennis facility with pros Britt Coleman and Joe Rosa with lessons, camps, and special events. Spacious and clean workout rooms, locker room for men and women, both with a whirlpool and sauna. And now there's touchless bottle filling stations. No intimidation, tremendous camaraderie, an entirely new atmosphere, and yes, you can do this, but you have to walk through the front door. It's time to react today, not tomorrow. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lake Shore Drive in Waco.
This is Sikkim 365 Radio. The Sikkim 365 Radio app is sponsored by Allen Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat in Waco. Your friend in the car business at Loop 340 and east of 84. Come by. Let's be friends.
Mike Shields has coached more recently up until McGregor at Terrell. He's been at Red Oak in Italy, Gladiators.
There you go.
There we go. We have to always get that right. His second year at McGregor. And, Mike, thanks for your time. We appreciate it, especially on a Friday afternoon. So when the UIL,
thanks for having me.
Yeah, you too. Glad to have you. When the UIL came out with the latest information about resuming workouts on Monday, and some had to stop, and some were already scheduled to have like an off week or a kind of a buffer week. What was your initial reaction? And hopefully everything goes according to plan starting on Monday.
Right, exactly. You know, we shut down a week early. Our plan was to be shut down this week because of girls coaching school. We had to shut down for 2 days. And then, you know, right around July 4th. So we had already planned to be closed this week.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the previous week we hadn't planned on, but there were some cases in schools around us. We didn't have any cases. But we just thought, hey, to err on the side of safety, let's close it down for 2 weeks. And then let's come back on July 13th. And surprisingly, you know, after we did that, a couple of days later, UIL kind of recommended that. Hey, why don't we shut down for 2 weeks and start back July 13th? So we're all kind of, I think a lot of schools are in that pattern or that calendar and ready to get back to work on July 13th, which is Monday.
How creative have you had to get with drills and things that you guys are doing so that you can do what you need to do, but still follow protocols?
Right. Very creative. The first thing we did is we had to look at our weight room and see, okay, how many kids can we really fit in there? We were cut down to, you were only supposed to be 25% of that your first week. So we went in and looked at the number of racks we have and how many kids we usually have per rack. And then obviously we went to 25%. So we could only fit 20 kids in our weight room. So then we had to say, okay, how many kids are going to show up, and when we do that, then we're going to break them up into groups. We average about 80 boys a day. So what we did is we said, okay, we're going to go 4 groups of 20, rotate them through the weight room so that they can get there. But we brought some weights outside, for our auxiliary lifts. And, we had to, because of the protocols, you had to have an inner door and an exit door. And, kids are running around the whole field house to get to their next group. So it was a little creative, but, after the first week and the kids understood it, it kind of worked pretty good.
Coach, how many extra responsibilities are now on you and your staff's plate as a result of all these measures? I mean, compared to typically getting ready for a normal season, is it double, triple the amount of things you have to account for at this point?
Yeah, that's a good question. I would say at least double, maybe a little more. We've got to screen each kid as they show up during the day and, ask them, hey, have you had these symptoms? Have you been around somebody? So on and so forth. So it's a lot of that. It's a lot of cleaning that we have to do, whether it's right in between every lift or every lifter, I should say, or at the end of the day. So yeah, it may be closer to triple the amount of work, but man, we want to have a season. So we're up for doing whatever we need to do to have a season,
Amen.
I know that he's not the only player, but DeAndre McDaniel, your quarterback, starts his 3rd year. He's put up huge numbers. And I know that how good he was his sophomore year, how good he was last year. How good is he, and is he getting any kind of interest at all from anybody at the next level?
Yes, he is. He's getting some looks. I know East Texas Baptist really has talked to him. I'm hoping, once again, that's why it's so important to have that senior year, that I hope he can get more offers or more looks than that of this year. We really wish we could have done 7-on-7 once again, just to finalize and get a little bit better at what we do. He could learn the offense a little more, all that stuff. But we understand why we couldn't do it. And as I said, I'm fine with not doing it as long as we can have a season. And, but that's what's so important for all these seniors, I mean, if you don't have an offer yet, then the colleges want to see your senior year. And, it's very important, hopefully, that we can have their senior year.
You have 19 lettermen back. How many of those are starters? Because obviously 4 and 6 means you guys took it on the chin a little bit. But do you feel like the ones coming back learned from that?
Yes, most definitely. 2 years ago, they had a lot of sophomores play. And then obviously last year we had a lot of juniors play. So on offense, we lost 4 linemen and 1 receiver. Now the receiver is a pretty big kid for us, Joby Smith, who caught for over 1,000 yards or right at 1,000 in 10 games last year. But we've got some guys that can replace him. DeAndre Parker and Caleb Carmichael had good years, and we're expecting big things out of them in this year. So that gives us six starters back on offense. Defensively, really Joby at cornerback was our only loss. I mean, I'm sorry, we had a linebacker, Michael Ledlow, too. So we've probably got 9 back on offense, and we get 2 kids back that had ACL surgeries, Carter Chandler and Zach Williams, who we really expected to play a lot last year, and they got hurt in the scrimmages. So, we are really looking forward to this year just because of the experience that we have back.
Are you going to chunk it a lot with Viandre? I mean, is let him do whatever he does? I know you have others, but he threw the ball 50 times one time as a sophomore, and you got to protect him enough to make sure he can throw it that many times without being sacked. But he's on the verge. He's had 400-yard games. Is that the plan?
It is. Now, what you got to realize too is he's a pretty good runner.
Yeah,
himself,
dual threat guy.
Right, a dual threat. So we do like to spread him out and say, hey, if it's there, throw it. If not, take off, run it. I mean, let's go. And Viandre can do that. But as you said, I think we've got some receivers that can help him. I just said DeAndre Parker, Caleb Carmichael. Yeah. We get Zach Williams back. We might move a Dayton Threadgill out there wide. We've got Chad Lawrence that can catch the ball. So we do have some options there that I don't have a problem with, especially a third-year quarterback, that we can throw the ball a little bit. And then hopefully that gets somebody out of the box, which then will open up the running game.
All right, thank you for your time, Mike, from McGregor High School. Mike Shields with us. One of the things on my online form I do every year, and Mike does it, every coach in Central Texas, I think I've received everybody back except maybe a couple of private schools. I do this, and it's the last question. What's the biggest challenge facing Texas high school football right now? Sometimes the answers have been parents. Yeah. Sometimes the answers have been peer pressure or recruiting or the AAU. Like this year, I feel like an idiot that I included that because of COVID, because that across the board was 100%, which it should have been, about whether or not there'll be football this fall. Hey, Mike, good luck starting back on Monday, and good luck, and hopefully things get better and better. I know there's a lot of hurdles still to get over, but good luck to you and McGregor and everybody else.
Thank you, and thanks for having us and supporting high school sports and athletics like y'all do. We really appreciate it.
You too. Mike Shields, head coach at McGregor. McGregor, remember the history of 2000? You look at around, the history, back in 1987, they were that 14-1-1 team. 3 years in a row, they won 36 games, lost 6 and tied 2. But it's been kind of a drought. 2009, they were 13-1. 2013, 11-2. Since that time, they've been stuck at 4, 5, and 6 wins. We'll see what they do with Viandre McDaniel and others, and Mike Shields in year number 2. This is Sikkim 365 Radio. Pickup Outfitters. How do you want to protect what's inside the bed of your pickup truck? Well, you want to get a pickup bed cover, right? Help you protect whatever. Maybe it's just a set of golf clubs, or maybe it's groceries or something else that you're moving or something else that you're bringing from the office to home or vice versa. A pickup bed cover can help protect whatever that might be inside the bed of your pickup truck from the elements, from the rain, the wind, and whatever else. And they have all the elite names of pickup bed covers. And, of course, they're lock-in and much more. They have the bed liners, spray-in and lay-in, and bumpers and grill guards and bump steps and whatever else you want when it comes to adding something to your truck, SUV, or minivan. And, of course, Jay Arrett at Pickup Outfitters does a great job. His commercials are legendary, and what he's done as a business has been phenomenal. And Pickup Outfitters located at 220 Lake Air Drive in Waco. So if you want a bed cover, lay-in or spray-in bed liner, you can get that. And remember, if they install it, you buy it from Pickup Outfitters, there's that lifetime guarantee, and they'll help you with warranty assistance as well. Pickup Outfitters, createacomotion.com. Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries, celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas. Our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Trust the doctors that Baylor trusts. Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.
Waco's newest gym, Halo Athletic Center, 5725 Bagby Avenue, right behind Region 12 and across the highway from the Central Texas Marketplace, where motivation, inspiration, and hard work are the driving force. State-of-the-art equipment, indoor and outdoor track, locker rooms, showers, yoga and bar classes by Duality Yoga, Bod Pod potty composition analysis, and registered dietitians, all under one roof, where we rise above. Come join the Halo Athletic Center and be a part of the change. Your change.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, French oak, rye, and brimstone. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Do you or your kids get nervous about going to the dentist? Stonewood Dental, Dr. Steve Childress, he can help.
I've spent a career taking care of patients who as children had bad experiences, and now they're adults that hate going to the dentist. If I get a kid at 3 years old and they come every 6 months and it's a happy experience, it's normal for them. Now they have an accident at 6 or 7 or 8 at school. Now they have a broken tooth or a trauma, and they have to come here. They're used to lights, they're used to water in their mouth, they're used to experience, they already trust us. It's amazing what we can do with that kid without it being a negative thing. But if I see a 6 or 7 or 8 year old that's never been to the dentist, and now they have a trauma or an unfortunate unexpected toothache, it's harder to do that for that kid and it not be somewhat of a negative experience. So bottom line is I try to teach kids and adults and teenagers and everybody the way I'd want my family treated, which is where it's a necessary part of life. You just take care of it. It doesn't have to be that big a deal.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference. And that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
In great times or tough times, you always feel better working with someone who's there for you. When it comes to great banking, people here count on the First National Bank of Central Texas, here to help you, your family, and your business. Personal banking via phone, desktop, tablet, and drive-through, and business banking tailored for all situations, including yours. Amazing tomorrows from the First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
This is Sikkim 365 Radio. The 5 o'clock hour is brought to you by Edward Jones and financial advisor Cam Heathcott. Edward Jones, making sense of investing. Here's David Smoke, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoke.
Known John Keim for quite some time, back when the Redskins drafted Robert Griffin III, and there's other guys in the Washington media that we got to know. And John Keim, ESPN NFL Nation, reporting, covering the Redskins, has a podcast, and the John Keim Report. He joins us from Washington on Sikkim 365 Radio. John, we're going to get into, eventually, you had a very lengthy, in-depth, and thorough interview with RG3. We had him on the first show we did back on April the 6th. Right. So looking forward to hearing from what you thought and heard. But let's get to day whatever it is in the Redskins and their name, and has anything really changed, or is it still just a lot of talk right now?
Oh, I think behind the scenes, I'm sure it's evolving a lot more than we realize, because my understanding was, I guess now, as of now, it would have been like 3 weeks ago that Dan Snyder would have started having some discussions with the league about making a change. It does sound like they want to do it with some speed. It's hard to just do this
in a couple of weeks because there's so many things that go into this. But so I don't know all that's going on behind the scenes. I do know that a lot is going on. I don't know exactly what all the time, but it certainly seems like they're moving forward with decisions about where they want to go. What are they going to change the name? It certainly sounds like they're going to. And then it's just a matter of like, what are you changing it to? And, are they going to, I was told they're going to keep as of now, they'll keep the color scheme. So I think that'll stay. And then it's like, then the logo and all that. So there's just a lot to decide.
Do they want to get away completely from anything Native American?
That is what Adam Schefter reported that they did. And I think it's probably wise given that, it probably leads to more headaches, or it'll lead to people saying things still because, I just, even if it's something that a lot of people would say they're okay with, like on, Native Americans, I think there's definitely a strong segment that would say just get out of that business completely. So that's my understanding. It does sound like they will. So we'll see.
Is it reasonable to think that they could pull the name, if they could change the name before the season starts, pull all the names off the field, develop a new logo, make new jerseys, football? I mean, every single thing you have to do. Could they do that before they have to play any games?
I don't see how they could do all that. I don't see that at all. I think you can make the change. I think you could, do things with the jerseys. You may be able to keep them the same for now. There is a little Redskins wording, but right in the neck area on the front. I was talking to someone. I think you can just take those off. I don't know that they're embroidered on or what, but you might be able to do something with those right now. The logo, I don't know why you'd want to rush a logo. This is a branding situation. This is going to define your franchise now moving forward. Why rush this? Because then it's not just the signage. It's the signage in the stadium. There's a lot of it. I don't know how you can replace all that before the season begins. You can change the name and just say, you start the trademark process and everybody knows at least they're changing it. We'll back off because you're doing this, and you can start the process of taking stuff down. But to have it all done before the season would be, and everybody I've talked to with experience in these things would consider that astronomically fast.
You know what? I said this on our show earlier today, and we've all mentioned this at some point. It's like FedEx all of a sudden, they're holier than thou. I get what they're doing. I understand where people are in some ways, but it's not like they haven't been the Redskins for 100 years. And
Correct.
How many of these businesses or those who now won't sell Washington's jerseys are just absolutely just hypocrites?
Well, listen, I think that's a fair question because, whether or not you agree with the name change or not, or whether or not you like the name or not, there are a lot of people jumping on this bandwagon the last week, and they're flexing their muscles. Well, like you said, this team has had the same name for years. You didn't just wake up on July 3rd and say, you know what, this is a terrible name. This is a business decision by a lot of people. Now, my understanding too is that Fred Smith, I believe, had talked to Dan over the years about changing the name. So it may be legit from him, but the fact that you did it now, I certainly think that the George Floyd situation and the way that where social justice is in this country, I think that contributes to it, certainly. But over the last week, I think you see a lot of companies kind of flex the muscles, but it's almost like, it gets a feeling like, there's a brawl that's breaking up, and now here comes a guy out the dugout saying, I would have gone after them if I, don't hold me back. You know what I mean? Like, We're running out of the dugout now after the fight's breaking up. So, okay, congrats, you're doing that. And I think, for some people, maybe it doesn't matter what the reason is. The bottom line is they're doing it, but it certainly feels like it's protecting of business interests.
John Keim, ESPN.com out of Washington, covers the Redskins with us on Sikkim 365 Radio.
Dan Snyder forever was adamant that this was not even a consideration, and obviously all this has changed. How do you think he will have to come out and publicly address this when they finally do change the name?
Yeah, good question. I don't know because, first of all, he doesn't like to talk publicly. So he did speak at Ron Rivera's press conference, but he didn't take any questions. So he's going to have to. This is like, you can't leave. The only other spokesman for this organization right now is Ron Rivera. You can't ask him to go out before he's coached a game and say, this is the new name for this franchise that I've been a part of for 7 months. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's just ludicrous. So the owner has to do that. I'm guessing he understands that. I think this is way too monumental of a thing to too many people that he wouldn't. Whether or not he takes questions, I don't know. So I think the other thing is this will be deeply personal to him. I mean, you know, you can't. I know for some people this decision is easy, but he bought a team that he grew up rooting for. He bought that team is like there's a connection that people have to their fathers or their, you know, brothers and sisters, whatever, that is deeply ingrained. And so I think it is for him. So he doesn't arrive at this. I don't think he's arriving at this lightly. And certainly, you know, you can look and say that, again, he's a businessman too. Maybe he knew where this stuff was going because he was getting told behind the scenes that if you don't do this, this is the result. So everybody makes business decisions. But I think this is something that is deeply personal to him. So I think he's going to have to get up and say something. And at least, because it's too big. It's 87 years. It's just too big for him not to say something. And I think he would. I would be hard to, and I also think if he doesn't, it's unfair to Rivera. Again, Rivera hasn't coached a game. You can't put him in the situation where he's your only voice on this. It's got to be you. This is your team. This is your franchise.
Robert Griffin III, who we covered at Baylor and had as an explosive a rookie year offensively as you could possibly have at a team that started out so poorly. John, hell, you covered him. You know that. He was such a powerful figure and continues to be one in the Central Texas area from Copperas Cove to Baylor and has been on our show. He has been probably done more interviews lately than he has in the last 6 or 7 years. You had him on. We had him on in April. Your thoughts about what you heard from him and some of what you took from your podcast with him, which I know that you were impressed. You and I traded a couple of different tweets or whatever back and forth. Your thoughts about listening to Robert?
Yeah, it's interesting. I find Robert a very fascinating figure. And, you know, we got to cover a few years, but and the reason I say that is because how many people in the NFL history has gone from a, you know, Heisman Trophy winner to Rookie of the Year, looking like you're the face of not just the franchise, but maybe the league for the next 5 to 10 years, and then it's gone. I mean, then there's the injury, and then there's controversy, and then you're cut, and then you get signed, you're cut from the Browns, you're out of the league for a year, and now you're as a backup to one of the most exciting players in the league. How do you accept and how do you go on that journey? How has it changed you? So that's what I was curious about most. And we, of course, talked about his time in Washington, you know, but that was out of a 55-minute interview. A lot of it was about other stuff and how do you get to this point in your career? And I don't want to say, and I'm not going to say accept where you're at. 'Cause one thing he makes clear is he doesn't accept where he's at, but he knows where he's at. He knows what his end goal is, which is to again become a starter. So, and this is what he has to do right now. And so, but I wasn't sure early in his career, and you talk to some people, and even you wonder, would he ever be able to accept being in that role? If so, for how long? Because he's so used to being that guy. And I just think it would be hard for anybody to be in that role. And I think there's certainly an emotional and growth to be able to do that. And I think being out of football for a year helped allow him to get to that point where he said, okay, this is what I like. And, he's sitting out, in 2017, he's like, why isn't anybody signing me? And, and I know the Ravens had tried to that time, but I think he still viewed himself a certain way. Then you realize that if I want to go back in there, I've got to go out there and prove myself this way. And I think part of the way he had to prove himself was by being a good backup. So that way it gives if he doesn't make it with Baltimore this year and he gets cut, I still think someone's going to pick him up, and at least you still have a shot to become a starter at some point because you're still in there. And I think he understands, and I think he also seemed to grow. You grow a deeper appreciation when you're out of the game for a year, and I think he did that. So there's an emotional journey that I just and his journey is far from over because. And one of the reasons I apologize for rambling on this, but one of the reasons I want to have him on too is he made that video. Talking about the social unrest and all that. And when you see that, and I've always felt like this with him, because he's very charismatic, that's a future politician if he wants to go that route. because he does have the ability to, he does have that charisma that brings people together or brings them in to his circle. And so, that was the other thing is like, so that's why I say journey, because I don't know that this is not the end game for him. So that's what I wanted. That's what I was mostly interested in with him is all that. How do you go from this to this, and then where do you want to go? How do you get there? And so I think, like I said, I find him fascinating because of that. And I think reaction even from like some Redskins fans. I mean, it's going to be mixed. Some will say like, yeah, he seems so mature, and others are going to say, well, he didn't take any of the responsibility in Washington for what happened, and and that becomes a he said kind of situation. And there's certainly, I'd be curious if we had gone more into depth on that, what he certain specific situations. But I really was interested in that journey that he's traveling, and I think that's where you can see some maturation.
John, with us talking to him a couple times, like he's not going to go in and say, yes, this was mine, but I think he's pretty introspective and realizes that there are things that he could have done differently there.
Absolutely. And I agree with that. Like I said, we didn't explore it to that depth that you'd need to say, well, what about this? And that's but I told him when I had him on, I'm not interested in saying, well, why did you do this? That wasn't the role of the show. I was really interested in his growth as a player, as a person, to get you from here to here, because it's not easy. I can't underscore just like how hard it must be to go from being the star and the face to being the backup to one of the faces of the league. And you know what I mean? So I give him a lot of credit for that. And I do agree with you. Like, and there's some things that weren't his fault. So why should he can't take all the blame? I just think that would be wrong too. So, and I'm not even saying he had to. I just think that was the reaction by some people. And, but yeah, I think like, and he even said, hey, because again, I didn't want to get into a whole, like, well, on this day, on this thing, this happened. Why did this happen? That wasn't like, then to me, I feel like I would have missed a lot of that would have been more sensationalistic maybe in Washington, but it would have missed a lot of, I think, what I thought was like meteor stuff that he was able to provide. And then, like you said, the introspection, I think that was definitely there. And so that's what I was interested in most. And I felt like he was really good with that. I mean, I enjoyed the interview. I enjoyed talking to him. I always did. And so, and I think, so yeah, but he even jokes. He's like, I don't know, joke, but he's like, I'm going to, all this stuff will be in my book one day where we can go over this stuff. You tell him that's fine. Listen, everybody's entitled to their opinion on what they feel happened, especially like in this game. There's so many things become subjective about why a guy did or did not succeed.
It seems as if because of the fact he's back in the league, and we had him on April the 6th, and we're expecting to hopefully have him on again very soon. But I think because he's back in the league, because I can't imagine how low he got, and he's going through changes personally as well. Yeah. But I think because he's stuck and he's with Baltimore and he's with an organization that is so stable compared to the dumpster fire that can be Redskins Park. But I do think that by him speaking out during the Black Lives Matter movement, and a few other of the social issues that he's taken on, I think he's kind of regained some of his confidence. And I think football allowed him to do that, don't you?
I think that's a really good point, and I would agree. I think he definitely has done that. And you can see, like, I've seen him be a little bit more active on social media with some stuff maybe in the past, and I think that's a good point. I think, it does feel like he's really finding a voice, but that does come from feeling good about where you're at. And again, I mean, listen, I don't know, I don't know how secure his standing is in Baltimore, but I do believe the way he's handled himself the last couple of years, that he has set himself up to, if something happens there, to get a job somewhere else.
Yeah.
And then again, as long as you're in the league, and he gave some examples of situations where he felt like he stayed ready. Like a couple of years ago in the preseason, they were playing Miami, and he said he was told he wasn't going to go play that game, and it was like the third preseason game. So it's a big preseason game, but as far as preparation goes and all that, well, he said they told him he wasn't going to play, and then the morning of, they told him he was going to start, and that he was not only going to play but start. But because he said he felt like because he had prepared all week for the game, even though he was told he wasn't going to play, he was ready. And when you're ready, and because of that, that game probably earned him a roster. That game did earn him a roster spot. That's what the NFL is about, being ready when your opportunity comes.
Yeah.
And, I always wonder for him here, like again, you know a lot of the stories and you know a lot of things, but what we don't know is what would have happened if he had stayed healthy.
Absolutely.
And then nobody can answer that. And that's so like for all the other issues, and there are quarterbacks in this league who are really good who you hear issues about, but they stayed healthy and they've won. So the narrative is different. You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
But I think that's always been a challenge for him is just staying healthy. And so if he can and he gets his chance, maybe there's a difference there. Maybe you get with the right coach and the right system at the right time and you stay healthy and you regain some of what you had. Who knows? I mean, I'm not going to say he can't do it. I know, several years ago, there were coaches that I know that definitely would have said, he'll be out of the league in a couple of years. Well, he's still there. And so, again, as long as you're in there, you don't know what will happen. I mean, so we'll see. I mean, it'd be fun to see if he could go back out there and do that. Because, and I told him on the show, like, that was the most enjoyable year I've had covering this franchise. Because, he was electrifying, exciting, but like you said, it's also been kind of a bad franchise. So it's not like there's a lot of years to challenge it, but he was one of the more exciting players in the league, not just here.
We'll never
he
forget.
was the most exciting player in the league.
Yeah, John, and as a lifelong Redskins fan, dating back to the years of Sonny Jurgensen, Charlie Taylor, great Hall of Famers, but, at the same time, they were always just average, and then Lombardi and on to George Allen, and, of course, the great Joe Gibbs. It was such an amazing run. I'll tell you what, Paul and I were at a game his rookie year, Thanksgiving Day at AT&T Stadium, and he lit up the Cowboys, and I'll never forget what Jerry Jones after that game said is, my God, we got to deal with him for the next decade. And
listen, everybody said that.
Yeah, I know. And
after I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but after the last game of that season, they're playing the Cowboys again. They win the division by beating the Cowboys. Now, that game he wasn't as good. It was Alfred Morris, but Robert was still dealing with the first knee injury. So they didn't have to do it. They were running well. It wasn't about Robert, but they won the game, and it was only because the injury was Robert, right? I mean, that the initial
right.
But after that game, and this is a night game, so after that game, I'm leaving the stadium or leaving the locker room, and I see somebody from the front office, and we just talked for a minute, and he goes, "That kid's going to get a lot of guys paid." So all the stuff we heard later, that was the feeling at the time, and you can't. I'm not going to be disrespectful to Robert and just ignore all of that too. You know what I'm saying? Like, because there's a lot that was said. Well, there's a lot that was said after the fact, but during that run, and they weren't saying things that they eventually, some eventually did. And I, but like I said, that was the feeling at that time that he was going to get a lot of guys paid because of what he could do on the field. That's why I say that injury really did change the trajectory of his career. And one of the things he talked about, too, on the podcast with that, now, at the time, Mike Shanahan's explanation was, leave it up to the player and the trainers. And they gave, Robert said he wanted to go. The trainer said that he was okay. And the doctor said he was okay. And I think in hindsight, I think Robert may have pulled himself back a little bit. But I still think that for him, like, I know for the coaches, they were worried about, well, if you pull him, what's his reaction to everything, et cetera, et cetera. So I think they felt, that this is what they said. So, but I think it certainly seems like Robert, if he had it now, it's like, I think if he were coaching some of that spot, he might just say, take him out. But who knows? Because like Robert is an intense competitor. Those guys want to play and stay out there, and so you just. I don't know but I do wonder about what would have happened because you didn't if they go on, if he doesn't get hurt, they go on to win that game, and maybe they lose the next week, whatever. But you don't have the injury to deal with. That's a different offseason. That's a different And I also think like the other thing too that this isn't on Robert. This is more about Mike Shanahan talking about the owner that they felt that the owner was the one who ruined Griffin, not Robert. Robert was a kid. You know what I mean? Like he's but they felt like it was the owner, the way that he did things. And I don't know if that's whether that's some opinion, but I do, like I said, what I know is that the guy was exciting as heck to watch.
Oh my God, it was unbelievable.
And it was, like I said, people at the time felt like exactly what Jerry Jones said. The Giants, my God, go back and watch that 4th down and 8 play he had against them, and what the Giants players were saying after that game. It's the same exact thing. It's what everybody was saying. And so, you don't want to ever forget that. And even that Cowboys game on Thanksgiving, I remember even tweeting this during the game. After he threw one of those touchdown passes early, I half expected him to run by and do that Jordan shrug, because it was like everything he was doing was like he was on fire.
John, what a wonderful segment, man. Great insight. We appreciate it. Thank you so much. And we'll be in touch, and good luck chasing down this story with Washington, whatever they're going to be called. Appreciate your time.
Whatever it is.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks for having me on.
Have a great weekend. That's John Keim with ESPN. He sat down with RG3. They're very insightful. And RG3 will be, he was on with us the opening day, April the 6th, that show we had that started off. It didn't seem like that was it was months ago, 3 months ago, right? 3 months ago. 527, this is Sikkim 365 Radio. One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Ben Erlinson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Ben Erlinson, 100 North 6th Street in Waco, 254-759-8533. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
What are you supposed to do when you pull up behind a truck that doesn't even have a hitch? I mean, it's like looking at plumber's crack. Do you cover your kids' eyes, look away, and switch radio stations? Hi, Jay here from Pickup Outfitters, asking for your help to end this embarrassing form of truck nudity. If you have a truck, at some point you need to pull something. It could be a trailer to haul stuff off to the dump, maybe a jet ski, a boat, an RV, a horse trailer, even just a bike rack. The point is, put a hitch on your truck's backside. And at Pickup Outfitters, we actually install more hitches than anything else. Whether it's a receiver hitch, a gooseneck, or a fifth wheel, we'll cover your aspirations to not drive a nude truck. And all hitches are covered by the Pickup Outfitters Lifetime Installation Guarantee. So cover your rear end with a new hitch from Pickup Outfitters on Lake Erie Drive in Waco, where we're fighting to end truck nudity in Central Texas. Check them out on our website at createacommotion.com/hitches.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and two-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a Petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
Time to fire up the grill, heat up the oven, or get that deep fryer going to enjoy the top quality products at Waco Custom Marketplace. And order 30-pound bags of live crawfish by noon on Thursday and pick up on Friday to enjoy the weekend. Live crawfish available right now. And Waco Custom Marketplace doors are open for business Monday through Friday from 9 to 6, Saturday 10 to 5. And crawfish boil boxes available as well. Make your order for live crawfish by noon on Thursday, pick up on Friday for the weekend. Waco Custom Marketplace, your home for fresh kolaches, cinnamon rolls, and baked bread daily. Butcher shop to cut your steaks the way you want. Fresh seafood, summer sausage, boudin, and house-cured and smoked bacon. Spices, seasonings, soup mixes, charcoal, and lighter fluid. Waco Custom Marketplace, doors open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, Saturday 10 to 5, 425 Lake Erie Drive or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
This is Sikkim 365 Radio. Text us at 254-339-1122. The Sikkim 365 Radio text line is sponsored by Riverbend Liquor and Wine, with the most extensive variety of craft beer in Waco. a hidden gem on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street.
So, our newest sponsor, the growing list of sponsors for Sikkim 365 Radio, Baylor University, we are going to have, and this is a new relationship as far as with the show, we're going to have, we don't know yet whether it's going to be once or twice a month, but it's going to be an alumni segment, and hopefully from attached a little bit or detached a little bit from athletics. That doesn't mean it can't be a former athlete like Colin Allred or someone like that, but we're going to do that once or twice a month. I'm about to put up a note on Sikkim365.com in the forums section. And we, in fact, we had, was it Chris Lemley and among a couple of others that have been on with us who have been overseas. There's stories about how they kept up with Baylor overseas. We're going to rejuvenate that. And Baylor University contacted me yesterday and said, hey, we're all in. We're changing up what we're doing, and we're coming on to use that segment to promote what we do.
So that could be anybody from, some of the ones that have entertainment, like Angela Kinsey of The Office, or Derek Haas, who's our old friend, who has the offer still on the table.
Derek Haas told me we could have him after they're doing all. I'm sorry, I'm showing on a
no on radio.
I'm the worst at that. I'm the worst.
Holly.
So, but
he said later in the fall because they're shooting stuff right now.
So, but I think we do need to eventually, when the pandemic is over, we need to do Sikkim 365 on the road from Chicago, so that Paul can play a dead corpse in a ditch with a hooker and a gun, which was promised to us by Derek Haas. He's still all about it.
I only joined this show just to get the guest spot on Chicago Fire.
I used to watch that show all the time.
Here's what I think I would love to do. Just put us dead in a ditch, and then oh, man, look at these guys. I want to be the ones where they're like, whoa, what's going on here? Where that's something really weird, and they make some sort of, joke about it, and then, cut to the thing, and then they go off and those three guys we found in the ditch, they're connected to this, and then just move on and on.
Yeah, just give us a cool backstory.
Yeah.
Cool story attached to it.
Yeah, I don't want to be just a guy. Just give us a little story. God. We don't need lines, just a little backstory.
God, I hope we can just do it so you'll stop talking about it.
I want to do it so bad.
But what if it's like
I don't care what they do to me.
Yeah, but what about it? What if the girl in the ditch or in the gutter is
It doesn't matter. Look, I doubt that anything that would happen to me in that situation would be something I'd be proud of anyway. So let's just lean into the role.
Well, it wouldn't matter if you're proud of it. You're dead.
Exactly. So I don't care.
All right. So thanks to Jason Cook, thanks to Baylor University, and they have joined the growing list of Sikkim 365 Radio, which brings me to this. Sometimes I've had people ask me this. I've had those who are sponsors of this show when we first talked to them. It's like, so is that a Baylor website? Sikkim365.com was started in 2016 by Ashley Hodge and Brian Etheridge, Colt Barber, among others. And it's a Baylor-centric as far as covering Baylor, a lot of what they do. But Baylor Athletics or Baylor University have nothing to do with the underwriting or paying the site or us.
Yeah, it's like
completely separate.
Sooner Scoop doesn't, an OU aren't attached at the hip, or Orange Bloods and UT, that kind of it's the same premise. So no, but that's awesome news, and look forward to the people that we'll potentially have on here over the next few months, and have some cool stories to share and some cool interviews to have as well. So thank you to Baylor quite a bit for joining the party, and we're looking forward to just continuing to grow this thing.
Yeah, that's going to be fun, and I look forward to that because I really enjoyed. I think we did that on Wednesdays, like at 5:15 or 4:30, whatever. It kind of got us into a different mode, and who knows, we might be needing more of that anyway because of what we might not have for the next who knows how many months and or weeks, or then and also in months. But
I can't wait to get a television star on a show that you have not seen.
So anybody?
Pretty much anybody. Yeah.
So pick a name.
You have seen
Clint
Chicago
Eastwood,
Fire.
I don't know who he is.
But Angela Kinsey, I know you've never watched an episode of The Office all the way through. I mean, you might have seen it while it's on in a room.
I know there's the guy who's the dark-headed guy who's the lead.
Steve
right?
Carell.
Okay.
Yes.
That's it. That's about. And then there's a guy that looks like he's bald with his hair disheveled all the time.
That's Dwight.
Yeah, it's Dwight.
Right.
And I'm not even a big
blonde
Office
woman.
fan. I've watched
like
enough
a blonde
to know
woman
that.
that seems like she's crazy.
That's
Angela
Kinsey.
Kinsey.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the Baylor alum.
She looks like she's always got her eyes like she's been hyped up on.
I would also say that so there's and if people have ideas, please send it to us that maybe we don't realize. Like I thought of one I told you when we talked about this yesterday, Allison Tolman, who was on the series Fargo, she's in a lot of stuff, but she's a fantastic actress, funny, really good in drama. She'd be an interesting one to talk to because she's done some really cool stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot of possibilities out there. We'll have to do some digging, but it would help if anybody has any recommendations for sure to hit us up and let us know somebody who's a Baylor alum out there in the world doing big things that might be an interesting interview. So we welcome that and look forward to getting to know and talking to a lot of different people. So, yeah, it's awesome.
This is an interesting note from Frank Hart. I got to talk to you about that, Paul, about the Cornell Green interview. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it because there's a lot of people I don't know. We can go back down history with Baylor athletics and every athlete, every sport forever, coaches, players, whatever. But I look forward to that because it's a little bit different. By the way, next week, Michael Johnson.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Record holder and Olympic champion will join us. So Buster Posey's not going to play.
Yeah, that's a bummer. That's another one, and he's got a newborn. This leads me more and more to think that Mike Trout's also not going to play.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Probably. I mean, I don't know. I don't want to speak for those guys, but, Buster Posey's obviously a big name, but he's got his newborn to worry about, so it's totally understandable. He had a, premature baby, 8 weeks premature, and she was, I don't know if it was a boy or it was girls, okay. Health concerns were newly adopted twin baby girls who were born about 8 weeks prematurely last Friday, and they had just finalized the adoption last Thursday. So, yeah, I mean, my gosh, I don't think that's really any surprise, or I don't think anybody can question that decision, I mean, with those circumstances. So he said it was tough, from, the baseball side of things, but family side of things, it's an easy choice to make.
Yeah, that's a huge hit for the Giants, though, when you look at the rest of their lineup. I mean, they don't have anybody that – he's their best player. So, again, and they're not, David Price is out and Zimmerman and a lot of these guys. So there's a lot of guys that aren't going to be playing. I hope we get to see some cool, younger players get an opportunity to step up that would have been ready. I hope it means, for guys like Kramer Robertson, that maybe they get another opportunity. I know that he's not in the 60, but that's this season's going to be weird. And we're going to see a lot of different lineups we didn't expect.
Yeah, and I saw where Blue Jays infielder Travis Shaw said, as far as the confinement goes, because there was some talk for the Blue Jays that they would have them put up in a hotel that's, I guess, attached to where they play there in the Rogers Center. And that's all, of course, if the Canadian government allows them to play baseball there. They have to get an exemption for that. But they've basically set up this whole quarantine area, and he's saying, no way, not going to happen, not going to do it, not going to sit in isolation that entire time. So, well, buddy, you're probably not playing then, because I don't think they're just going to be like, well, okay, since you said so, go ahead and go out and travel around and walk around the city and no problem. So there's certainly going to be some guys who probably get cabin fever a little bit and just want to venture out, but you got to make the sacrifice if you want to play. So if you want to have more of your freedom to move around and do whatever you want to do, then don't play baseball, because if you want to play baseball, you're not going to be able to do everything you want to do.
I didn't see that. I don't know who. I just saw Bob Bowlesby's name pop up and making a decision about the football season, but I think that's just that they're going to have talks. He's mentioned this week that they're going to have discussions. So it might just be a rehash of something that was already there as well. But I want to check in on that. So Carl makes the comment. I agree. He asked me the question, is it me or is COVID will it make so that only Power Fives will soon become their own entity and non-Power Five schools will be the thing of the past? That's almost the way it is now, with all due respect. It really is. It's almost like the Power Five is almost their own island.
Yeah.
They're like their own bubble. And then, yes, you still have others who can beat them and interrupt them and cause them trouble. But yeah, it might end up that way because financially, some of the others just may not ever be able to get past this, even if there are games at some point this fall.
Well, there's changes that need to be made anyway. And I think there's changes in the whole world that we're going to see. They're going to be different out of all this. So, maybe that happens after all this. I don't know.
From the Athletic, college football, the Pac-12, okay, but this is really just kind of a Pac-12 expected to announce it's going to play conference games only for all sports this fall, which is kind of, I guess, pushing down the line a little bit more. We kind of know that's coming anyway, right?
That's absolutely not new news at all.
So that's kind of taking what was said yesterday and maybe
there's other stuff that's more
updating
interesting
it in a way. So and in the Big 12, and Bob Bowlesby, Mac Rowe just said this, they will just continually look at what's going on, kind of figuring things out, not rushing to a decision, but eventually a decision obviously will be made one way or the other of what they're going to do. All right, when we come back, it's 5:42. Sikkim 365 Radio. We'll go over some of the text line from Riverbend Liquor and Wine text line, also Twitter feed, and much more. This is Sikkim 365 Radio.
Summertime means vacation time, and when you hit the road, do it in the vehicle of summer, Jeep. At Allen Samuels, it's our huge summer clearance event. It's on. Get employee pricing on brand new 2020 Jeep Gladiator Sport Editions, plus an additional $1,500 in retail bonus cash. And ask about 0% and no payments for 90 days on other Jeep models. It's time to say goodbye. Adios, 2020s from Allen Samuels.
Ask for details. All offers with approved credit.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jeweler, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs, too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store and more.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one, commercial, farm and ranch, or residential. Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction with a team of 24 experienced agents who are excited about serving you. Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
If you or a loved one or friend has been arrested and you can't afford bail, trust Terry and Chase Chapman at Chapman's Bail Bonds, covering Waco and McLennan County for over 25 years. Chapman's can bail you out anywhere with experienced, knowledgeable local agents who are committed to serving you professionally, respectfully, and with the highest integrity. Chapman's understands your privacy is important. Your freedom can be secured fast when you use Chapman's Bail Bonds. Open 24 hours a day, payment arrangements available. Call Chapman's Bail Bonds. When you need help, 254-754-1603. When you ring, we'll spring.
This is Sikkim 365 Radio. Log on to the Willis Law Firm chat room on Sikkim365.com.
All right, here we go, 5:45. We mentioned Buster Posey. He's out. 2020 season. Joey Gallo's back. He had tested, positive, negative, that's like 5 different times it seemed like he was tested. Let's say he lost 3-2 in the positive, the negative.
Yeah.
I want to know how it's a week later and he's back. Because everything else was 2 weeks.
Yeah,
and
Jimmy Johnson, the NASCAR driver.
Well, and then, and like NASCAR's not even doing, okay, as far as what I read a few days ago, for everybody who says they're testing, there are many there's some groups that are saying that, like the WWE, for example, up until about 2 weeks ago when they suddenly had an outbreak of their own and they finally decided after months to actually do real testing. But prior to that, it was just temperature checks. And that's what NASCAR was doing. It's like, oh, you don't have a fever, you're good. Well, not necessarily. And so, it's just kind of strange to me that they didn't do like Baylor's doing more than NASCAR, if you think about it, right? So that's just kind of strange to me. And for him to be back a week later when I know that their testing isn't exact and it's not as good as it probably could be, that just doesn't make sense to me. And if they say he's good, fine. I'm not a doctor, obviously, but I was always under the impression that you had the 2-week quarantine after you were even around people, much less testing positive for it. But a week later, he's back driving. So I have no idea what to think of that. But, yeah. Well, pretty crazy. And then Joey Gallo back as well, which that's good news, though. I'm not complaining about them not being positive anymore.
Major League Baseball's testing has been a bit of a disaster anyway, because they're using one lab in Utah that has very little experience with things of this nature. And once again, hey, look, Major League Baseball doing medical testing, and it didn't work. What do you know? Much like with Ryan Braun and all that stuff. So... or they had a bad idea all the way around.
Carl, on the text line, just an idea to connect the local military population to sports like we did a few years back with the Veterans Day celebrations on ESPN Game Day. That's one of the best Army-Baylor experiences ever. The bands of Oklahoma and Baylor combined with the 1st Cavalry for pregame and halftime. That day was awesome, minus all the rain. If memory serves me, this is from Carl, who served. There are 5 Baylor alums in the president's own, in the Marines and Pershing's own Army bands. Oh, I guess a part of the bands, but the president's band and the Pershing band, Army band.
That's pretty interesting.
Yeah, I didn't know that. Thank you, Carl. Appreciate that. From Leon, once again, how do we know if the tests are even legitimate?
We don't.
We don't. Because we have to just take them at their word that they're doing the swabs and everything that's real. Yeah, we don't know.
Baseball had 3,748 now samples, 66 positives, positive rate of 1.8%. Of the 66 tests, 58 players, 8 were staff members, and at least 1 positive test on each of the 27 teams.
Which is actually encouraging because that's a lot
Very
of tests
good
for
number,
less than 2%, which, of course... Gosh, we have to repeat a lot of things these days. But, of course, you'd like it to be 0. But it's not realistic.
Hell no!
So,
I want some to have it.
It's not realistic. So under 2% is just fine and way better than it could be.
I saw this note last night. Kind of came down late. Bill Hancock said that the 4-team playoff is still on. I brought this up with you guys. I think I did. Is that with the way that things might end up being, if there's a maybe conference only. By the way, so what if 3 of the Power 5 say, hell no, we're going along with, and they end up playing their non-conference games, and then there's this Notre Dame bug fly in the ointment.
Well, they'll either look like absolute geniuses if they make it through it, or they will be the laughing stock of everybody else because they try to get through it and then
Notre
they failed. No, I'm saying like if 3 conferences said, no, we're going through with it, we don't care, then they are either going to be geniuses by December, or they're going to be some of the most hated people in the entire world.
Now, one of the things that you could assume, like the Big Ten, we have no idea really, they're assuming they're going to get games canceled anyway, so they might as well stick to their conferences, is probably the best way to me that they can spin that. But, look, we might all be saying this is what's going to happen anyway in a couple of weeks, but, why they had to make that decision right now, which is one of the things that, we don't know, and it's not like the teams are doing anything that's really going to me, be the bigger problem of the spread. They're not having big games. There's not going to be fans, or those seem to be pretty contained atmospheres.
Yeah, it's just hard though, man, to account for 100 people for months at a time and just assume they're all going to, not have that one night where a guy's like, man, I got to go out and get a drink or go out and see this girl or whatever. I mean, you can't keep tabs on everybody, and so you just have to trust everyone. And, I mean, like I was relaying with that Blue Jays player, I totally understand his point. Like he was saying, I got a condo like a block away that I can't even go to. Like I can't walk from this hotel we're quarantined in to a condo that I own, and I walk on the street with a face mask, all social distance, but I'm not even allowed to do that. And so I understand some of that, and like that's why I said the cabin fever side of it. You want to have some bit of freedom, but I mean, that's kind of what you have to do, though, right? Because who knows who he interacts with when he's walking to his apartment, or if somebody comes across in the lobby. And, like, that's the thing is you can't keep tabs on everybody, so you have to kind of keep it in a bubble as best as you possibly can, as frustrating as it may be. And, yeah, it sucks. It does. All this sucks, but we got to do what we got to do, man. And, like, I don't know about you guys, but for everybody who complains about every measure that pops up or whatever, like, we're adding them back. We're not getting rid of them now. We were for a second, but now we realized, hey, that was too soon, and so here we are. So let's just all just do what we got to do, man. Let's get back to not having to fret as much over this. That's my hope.
The Eagles have released a statement about, again, not tolerating hate in reference to Deshaun Jackson. Spoke with him, constructive conversations the last few days, not only with Deshaun Jackson, but other players, members of the organization, leaders in the community. Today, we penalized Deshaun for conduct detrimental to the team. He accepted the consequences and apologized. In our many conversations with him, it has been made clear this is only the beginning. We have discussed a concrete plan for how we and he can heal moving forward. He understands that in order to remain on the team, he must also commit to supporting his words with actions. We've been encouraged by his desire to educate himself and understand what has been done. We'll continue to assist Deshaun in the process. So they didn't cut him.
Just like they didn't cut Riley Cooper.
Riley Cooper. Some players have just been flat out released over things that they've said before. They didn't do that. But and you hope now that remains between the organization and Deshaun, and somebody will probably end up having that story. Most likely you would think he's been fined heavily.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if that means that the NFLPA will release that or not. And if he's fined, damn, that's good.
Yeah.
Not that a fine will change who you are.
I mean, I'm not one of those people that's out for, seeking punishment against everybody. Some people get their rocks off on doing that with anybody that they don't like. I don't get it. But, I'm not asking for anything to be done to Deshaun Jackson, just like, the Eagles are the ones going to be making the decision on him, just like they were with Riley Cooper. I'll tell you what is incredibly frustrating to me, though, is just the whataboutism in this society of just we can't ever get anything done because we're too busy. Every time something does not occur the way it's supposed to, we go, yeah, but what about?
Yeah, I know.
But but what about? And let's point to something from 7 years ago.
Like
or from
Deshaun Jackson's wrong, and everyone.
But what about Riley Cooper?
Riley Cooper, yeah, okay.
That was
Riley Cooper's wrong too.
Exactly. It's like you go in circles, people, and you don't make anything
That's
change.
Like the cat chasing its tail.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's the stupidest reaction to have, and certainly there are some times where you should say, well, wait a second. Well, what about? And I get that, but it just seems like there's a large portion of people that do that, and it's just a way of deflecting from actually getting down to the root of the matter.
Yeah, but.
And because people cannot stand to hear a viewpoint different than them. Yeah. I'm right, you're wrong. You don't like what I like. You're a piece of, you know what.
What about Riley Cooper? Is Riley Cooper in the league anymore? I mean,
is he even alive for all I know? I have no idea.
He made it out the rest of that season, and then that was pretty much it for him.
And he got plenty of backlash during that time.
Yeah, but it's just the fact, well, what about Riley Cooper? What does
that change about what Steven Jackson or Deshaun Jackson said? It doesn't change anything, and that just drives me nuts. Whataboutism just makes us run in circles, and we never get anything done.
There's a lot of need for change. We understand that. But what's happening is those who are wanting change, whoever you might be, you're actually in some ways running in mud or concrete by then yourself saying, yeah, but.
Well, what about usually comes out when anybody has the finger pointed at them all of a sudden? Oh,
yeah.
well, what about?
Wait a minute.
Yeah,
Whoa, hold on.
And that's the thing that drives me nuts. But I will say on the Deshaun Jackson story, this is important to pass along. Julian Edelman of the Patriots has offered and said they will have uncomfortable conversations, he and Deshaun Jackson. Julian Edelman, a leader, stepped up, and instead of he should be cut, or instead of reacting like a lot of the players when Drew Brees talked,
like Malcolm Jenkins?
Yeah, how about Julian Edelman just saying, instead of, hey, cut this guy or he's a piece of crap or whatever, he said, you know what, I want to sit down with Deshaun Jackson, I want to have some uncomfortable conversations.
And
Kudos
he took his time
Julian
to
Edelman.
say that to you. Exactly. He took his time. He went on a video and he said, listen, and he thought through what he said and not just emotionally reacted. I got this from Carl from last night. a soldier makes history, the first woman ever to join the Green Beret.
Oh, neat.
An Army National Guard soldier marked a new milestone in U.S. military history on Thursday, graduating from the grueling Special Forces qualification course, the Q course, to become the first woman to join the Green Berets. They don't release the name, but confirm she graduated from the 53-week course in a ceremony at Fort Bragg, North Carolina.
What do you think the extra week is for in the year? Just so you can
just to make sure.
Just to
the
make
52
sure.
weeks prior to that were hard enough. The Q course is made up of 6 phases, includes training in small unit operations, advanced special forces tactics, language training, unconventional warfare. After graduating, they are typically Green Berets assigned to a 12-member operational detachment alpha team, which are made up of weapons, communications, intelligence, engineer, and medical specialists. Nate Boyer, we've had on the show a couple different times, was Special Forces Green Beret. Now, in 2015, then Captain Kristen Griest and First Lieutenant Shay Haver became the first 2 female soldiers to break through one of the Army's toughest training courses, successfully graduating from the Army Ranger School, a 61-day course. There had been one woman prior who completed the requirements of the Special Forces course back in 1980, Captain Kate Wilder, met requirements but was not permitted to do so. Graduate.
It's awesome. She's a badass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's Demi Moore.
Yeah, sort of.
Yeah.
Was that? When was that?
That was
a long
SEALs,
time.
wasn't
She
it?
was a SEAL, yeah.
Yeah. And
G.I. Jane was that movie.
And then here's another one that is, well, no, I'm not going to. Should I do the Pride crosswalk, Paul, just to kind of pour we are?
No, it's just no.
No.
It's hard. Like, you need to see the picture. It's just.
I'll tell you this. I just saw, I guess, Football Scoop put out the salaries for the Power 5 commissioners. And there's one guy on here I cannot believe, but this is also surprising. Greg Sankey, $2.6 million, the lowest of the Power 5.
That's surprising.
So he must have like some bonuses.
Well, I bet Mike
and
Slive had about 3 times that.
Probably.
Yeah.
John Swafford of the ACC makes $1.2 million more at 3.8. Bob Bowlesby.
I would have thought he would have been 3rd highest.
Third with $4 million flat.
Okay, I'll tell you this, and I understand that Bob Bowlesby's job performance is uneven, but he also stepped into the situation with 10 screaming babies.
Yeah, and I know everybody's
one really big baby.
Yeah,
I know some people, especially listeners of ours, cannot get past the fact that Baylor still doesn't have their money back or whatever. But I will say Bob Bowlesby's done an excellent job over about the last year. I think he's been really, really good and one of the better commissioners in college football. So he's 3rd. Larry Scott of the godforsaken Pac-12.
Yeah, been a long time guy. He's been there for
$5.4 million.
Yeah, I know.
And then Jim Delaney, Big Ten, 10.3. He makes double than.
I bet Slive then made close to that.
Probably,
right?
Yeah. I just thought that was interesting.
Good. I'm glad. I didn't know. I would have thought Bowlesby was 3rd, but yeah, $10 million for the Big Ten guy.
That's why Jim Delaney just makes decisions.
Yeah.
That's it.
And doesn't worry about whether Northwestern or Ohio State care.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't have to worry about the big baby in the room. Thanks to Jacob Hester, former LSU running back, ESPN in Baton Rouge, Grayson Grunhafer, Sikkim365.com, Alvin Brooks III and John Jacobs, Baylor assistant coaches with Scott Drew and men's basketball for coaches for change.org, Clay Fuller, Mike Shields of McGregor, and John Keim of ESPN.